everybody, and welcome to Football Park for the 2000 SANFL Grand Final between the Eagles and Central District. Light rain falling as the two top teams at the end of the minor round play off for the premiership. The Eagles, of course, are going for their second flag. Welcome, everybody. They did win one back in 1993. Central, on the other hand, since coming into the competition in 1964, have never won a flag. The Eagles have already won the under-17s, the under-19s and the reserves, and today a victory in the seniors gives them a grand slam and history again. For the Bulldogs, history in the making for them. If they happen to win, it's a great game, and either way, it'll be the most historical grand final we've seen. As we welcome Stephen Trigg. Stephen, I think it's living up to the hype, this match, isn't it?
Well, it promises to be a great contest. It's strange in a little way, isn't it? Because you've got a grand final day without Port Adelaide and a Norwood, neither side anywhere in sight. But you've got two teams, I think, that match up very, very well, and their preparation's been ideal. The Eagles needed a hit out last week. Central have had the break, and statistically, that puts them with a nose in front.
If you look at the second semi-final form, Central were terrific. Stu kicked 5 goals that day, and the Eagles looked lacklustre.
Well, they just needed the workout, as I said. I felt like they'd played that two games in four weeks, so they really needed a good blowout. They got it last week, and as I say, they come up today just in time and ready to play.
Weather will, of course, play a big part in today's match as we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary for the weather report.
Yes, thank you, David. It smells like a grand final day. All those burnt sausages in the car park as we wandered in, and all the painted faces in the crowd. There really is a great atmosphere down here amongst the crowd that you'd think would swell to about 35,000 by the time the ball goes down. But the weather, well, the people at the Bureau said a drizzly shower or two, but that'll wait to be seen. There's also a gale warning out. The wind's not a factor at the moment, but it will play an important part by the end of the game.
Thanks, Michael, for that. In the 3 matches that these sides have played this year, Central District hold a pretty good lead.
Yes, they had 35-point advantage the first time round, but then the Eagles bounced back at Elizabeth Oval. The second semi probably more relevant, though, because it was Central District. Remember, it rained late, and there's a little feeling around that whilst these two match up very well, if it does in fact rain, that Central might have the edge. They were 18-point winners in the second semi. As
we look to the Central District side, you've got to have a real feel for Scotty Lee, who's been left out
very much
of this side.
Very much. Yeah, Scotty Lee is 37 years of age, has missed out on probably the biggest game and most important game, but they do stack up very well, Central. Peter Jonas and the selection committee not prepared to take the chance with Scott, but one of the keys for them this afternoon, and I'm certain that the Eagles will recognise this, is that Stuart Dew, who kicked 5 in the second semi-final, absolutely must play well, because there are question marks about the remainder of their forward line. They're up against the best defence in the competition, the best balanced defence, so if they can find some goals from other people besides Dew, that line-up, I think, looks pretty good, especially in and around the middle of the ground.
No doubt about that. The skippers are out in the middle, and Damien Squire, the McGarry medalist, he is about to toss the coin.
We've got a breeze blowing from, well, it's from what will be the left of your screen at the moment, but we're expecting it to turn around to the south. Looks like Daniel Holm has won it, and we'll go first off with the breeze.
There's the Eagles line-up, Stephen. They look pretty good too.
Well, I mentioned, David, that defence, and we'll talk later about the ABC's Team of the Year, but all of those players have been picked in your Team of the Year. Holland, Hall and Tate right across the back on the far right of screen. But you combine them with Shirley, and that's probably going to be the player to pick up Dew, by the way. I think their change-up position will be Tate. But Shirley, Stevens and Rogers, that's a tremendous back six. And if they can hold out Central District, it'll go a long way towards them winning.
And not a bad interchange, Spence, is it? Players are now just warming up in preparation for the 2000 Grand Final as Mark Nayley joins us. Mark, no doubt the two best sides in the competition are meeting today on Grand Final Day.
Definitely are, David. We've seen the Eagles. I made an early prediction back around in round 13 that I believe the Eagles will win this year's premiership, but I've seen a side from Elizabeth come out and play some magnificent football in the last 4 games of the season. And one there, the captain of the side, really does lead by example. He's one of the toughest, hardest footballers that we do have in the SANFL competition. But the Gowans boys also have been sensational. Well, I think we might go down to Michael Parsons. Just quickly, Michael, your tip for this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty tight one, and just on the cheerometer, when 2 teams run out, I'd say there's about 30,000 people here that are tipping the Doggies. I'd love to see them get up and win, but the Eagles, just their polished skills and their run through the midfield and just their ability to kick goals, I think will give them to them by maybe a couple of goals.
Now, Stephen Trigg is a former Central District player. I guess you're going with your heart this afternoon, Stephen.
David, there's no doubt that I'd like to see Peter Jonas have some success. He was on the brink last year, and a club that's not won one in 36 years, and having had a couple of cracks at it through the 90s, I would like to see them win it. I think our challenge, David, is it not, with you being an Eagles boy and myself with a background up there to try and be as unbiased as we possibly can. Isn't that the trick?
No doubt about that. And Gavin Colville on screen, the runner-up in this year's Magarey medal. What an impact the Eagles hope that he'll have on this match, and certainly an important cog in the preliminary final win. He was missing during the second semi-final loss to the Bulldogs just 2 weeks ago.
There still must be question marks, Stephen, over his fitness as well. He did tire in last week's game against the Double Blues. Sam McArdle's in screen. His form, he started so well.
He must play well. Has to play well today for Central District to be a chance. He and Kynan forward, very critical. McGowan starting in the square. Colville's in the square. We'll try and pick up some matchups for you, but Arnold is going to do battle first up with the high-leaping Rhett Biglands, and that'll be a big clash as well.
Richard Williams, Derek Woodcock and Tim Fife are the officiating grand final umpires. To pick up the call with Stephen Trigg, it's Mark Maley.
Siren sounds, year 2000, the grand final between the Bulldogs and the Eagles. First bounce of the afternoon. Biglands up against Moller. The ball stuffed forward. Over the top is Floriani, couldn't take possession. Back there is Shirley, taken high by Marco Bello. And the umpire quickly in, pays the free kick. Shirley to his feet, handballs wide out to Stevens. Stevens looks out on the outer wing by Floriani. With him is Stevens. And Floriani's made the first mistake for the Eagles of the afternoon. And it's kicked out of bounds on the ball.
Danny Stevens, such an important player to Central District on the close side of the ground, being picked up by Ugrinnick. And I reckon a bit of a surprise with Moller going first up against Biglands. I suspect Central District were well expecting Rhett Biglands to jump very high, so they've gone with the 200-centimetre height of Moller right on the boundary line, and it's gone just over in front of the old scoreboard. In fact, we've got a free kick.
That's pretty soft there, David. Very soft start, but the umpire's just taking control. The free kick will come back to Pearce.
You've got to remember, Mark, the umpires are just as nervous as the players. They'll take a little while to settle down. Big crowd enjoying this. And you think, back to Moller, it might well be that the opening bounce was going to be the critical one, and Jonas wanted to get that one right.
Kicking into a slide breeze of the Eagles. Biglands was there, he's taken high. The umpire on this occasion.
And I think the strategy today, Biglands was so dominant last week against Sturt, that Moller will try and attack Biglands physically, then they'll bring Arnold on and he'll have a crack at him. They're going to double team him all day, and there is some doubt over David Neiman's fitness with a knee injury.
Did look just a little bit second-hand when he came out, didn't he, as the ball gets smashed towards the line and once again goes over. I imagine that with Damien Arnold on the bench there at far right, the suggestion would be, Michael, that they're just trying to get the ball pushed their way, I imagine, with Moller's height.
Yes, you'd think so. Biglands was such an important player last week. He just ran forward to the play, and it was around the groundwork where he really hurt Sturt. And I'd say that Moller's going to have a job just to run with him for the first 10 minutes and soften him up a little.
Inside 50 for the Bulldogs. The ball's over the back. Back there is Ugrinnick. Goes left leg towards the grandstand wing. Working hard across here will be Beveridge. But the ball beats both players out over the boundary line. So great intensity in these opening seconds.
And Shirley has got the job on Stewie Dew. There was some thought as who would pick him up, but Shirley's got that job.
I think it's a good start. He really jagged a couple, Stewie, in that second semi, but if they get into trouble, Jamie Tape's a really good option, isn't he? Pearce on the bottom of the pack, so influential last week. He'll get up last and give it back as McArdle heads off down towards centre-half forward, trying to make some space. Tape is the player who's got him at the minute.
And Stephen, other than Moller in ruck, Central and the Eagles have gone to a very predictable format with their lineups.
Unchanged. The Eagles, as McGowan goes around the body, Bello tries to push it forward, Sodhuda's forward, picked up by Dew. Here is the danger boy, if he gets on the left leg. Great tackle by Beveridge, who can chase and work very hard, drags him to the ground and will have another, probably about the fourth or fifth so far this game, a boundary line throw-in.
Stewie Dew, very quick, very dangerous on a left foot with the breeze coming from left to right. He would have just been able to slot that so easy. And Beveridge made a good 3 metres in a hard-running tackle to pull him down. It was great support.
Throw in, Muller again, knocks it forward, Healy's there, throws the ball out, Pearce cleans up quickly, running hard as Holland, goes for the handball over the top, Floriani or Sicker, let her take it, Sicker backs himself, he'd be taken here by Ford, Ford tackles him after he got rid of the football, no free downfield, up there is McCartney, missed last week's game with a back spasm, was out there at centre-half forward this afternoon, the dangerous Pesh across to Floriani, the handball smothered off the boot there by Quinton Graham. What a great individual effort there by Graham. Ball still inside. They're 50 metres for the Eagles. The free kick's been found here. Is it Cluzak or is McCartney? I think McCartney gets the free kick.
Yes, it is. So John McCarthy, plenty of AFL experience, also had a stint in Tasmania. Gee, the Eagles have recruited so very well from Tasmania, so too have the Bulldogs. Now, I think that was just Marco Bello rolling over the top, putting the knees in, and the umpire just wants to gain control early.
So John McCarthy, 33 years of age, an experienced campaigner, AFL, Tasmanian, and also SNFL League football. That's a good kick by McCarthy, just pushes a little bit wide. But the first score of the afternoon goes to the Eagles. They lead by 1 behind.
Might give us a first impression of how the breeze is going. Michael Parsons is down at ground level.
Yes, once you get above that grandstand, it is significant and definitely favouring the Dogs by 2 or 3 goals, I'd say, in this opening quarter.
It's just sometimes worth going against it, isn't it? A frenetic first term in a grand final, and just don't get anything free and flowing. So Central will want to get a couple of quick ones to get away. Good movement through the middle of the ground as Gowns. The handoff is okay to McGowan. Second possession for him. Inside half forward they go. Ford stands his ground and takes a pretty good mark too as the sun comes out at Football Park.
Open goal square.
Daniel Stevens is the player who has sprinted, put the turbo charge on, went down, and the ball's gone across the line and through for a behind. So 5.5 minutes gone in the GF, and the scores are tied away.
That breeze, fellas, is significantly stronger than we envisaged. Looks to be about a 2 or 3 goal breeze, and I just wonder whether the Bulldogs can settle down and use it efficiently.
David, just another factor is that there was a drizzle, a shower just before the game, and that ball's going to skid through on the back of that breeze.
Kick in, coming across the face there with Stevens. Couldn't take the mark. Danny Holm quickly to his feet, gets the ball up forward. In front was Hall. Disciplined football. Knocks it towards the boundary line.
As we go down to Michael Parsons, who has the Eagles bench.
You see them sitting there. Manfield, who's not a bad replacement to come on, he'll move into the forward lines when he gets his chance. Higgins and the backman in Crowell.
Backman or forward man, Andrew Crowell. He's really got some flexibility, so that's the order of the day. The versatile benches on both sides. Biglands pushes it towards the boundary line. McGowan's been busy early. Jew caught on the wrong side. I thought the checky might have been in order for a moment. That's a higher than longer ball. Healy arrives late, can't quite take it. Gowns, that's Chris Gowns, dives in over the footy. Plenty of numbers inside the Bulldog half forward line at the moment, and we'll have a bounce down. Now 6.5 minutes gone, and Central not quite able to convert so far, despite having the majority of entries.
Sometimes it can be a disadvantage having the breeze in the opening term of a grand final. Players take a long time to settle down, the nerves are high, and there's not a free-flowing use of the football.
Just to elaborate on that, 4 times inside the forward 50 of the Dogs, once only to the Eags. Floriani. It's pretty congested in there. Downtown Bangkok in terms of the traffic. Jew. If he'd got onto it, it would have travelled right to the square, but it was well smothered. McGowan again. Jew. Holm. Inside 50 once more for the 5th time. They've got their numbers back, the Eagles, at the moment, and I think that's the order of the day for them, just at the moment, to get numbers back, surround the contest until things settle down. Unusual
for a grand final. We've had 3 or 4 players open, ball in the air, and they've been let off the hook. In grand finals, normally, you see players cleaned up. It's clear cut to me that the coaches have instructed players to play the ball.
Bounce down just outside of 50 for the Bulldogs. It's knocked down again. Rogers is there to take it. Gives a slick little handball back to Shirley. Well, the conditions must be slippery. A fair bit of pressure out there. Shirley just again goes for the safety of the boundary line and does find it.
Now that's incredible, isn't it? He was 4 deep, got through traffic, and had the presence of mind just to dribble one out. I mean, you just don't understand how quickly those players are coming at you in the grand final. There's a lot of mental pressure.
Biglands.
Kid was terrific, wasn't he?
Biglands and Muller go at it again. Biglands this time just got the handball down. Or the hand down at least, trying to find Shirley.
Big day, of course, for both sides, but for Central, 3rd time in the last 6 years they're into the grand final, and some of the old players, the ex-players, have come from far away. People like John Duckworth and Peter Krieg and the likes, and I imagine that they'd be looking for a reasonable night out tonight at Elizabeth if the Doggies have a win here. McGowan again, as I've suggested, very busy for him. James Gowan. He's a very good player, Holland. Shovels it forward. It's busy and very heavy work in there. Bello got it from forward, pings away at it from about 40 metres and misses by a long way.
Again, pressure. It's mental pressure as much as anything. In a normal game, he would have had that split second more time to line it up, but a grand final particularly, it's about overcoming mental pressure.
Well, the Eagles have opted for the grandstand side. Hall came in, brings it across to Stevens. Now Stevens heads for Rogers. That'll be a great duel between Rogers and Healy. Rogers takes it. Can't get the ball out. The umpires believe that he scooped it back under him. The free kick goes against the captain for the Eagles and Rogers. Daniel Healy takes the kick. Called to play on.
Pretty good with that rule all year, haven't they?
Well, they're consistent. Ford's up there. Tape's back there as well. Jamie Tape comes inboard towards Pearce. Pearce can go further afield. The Sikalelen stops and props and finds the captain. So he'll just slow things down. Gets back off to Stevens. Looks down the grandstand wing. His options are McCartney. He's got Matthew Kluzak, Nicholas Pesh, and Gavin Coldfield. Will contest the mark in the air. Well, Moller going alone here. Spoiled each other with the two Bulldogs. Quinton Graham's down the hill without the football. Pearce overruns it. Guerrera comes through, knocks the ball forward. Down near Holnats. Has to be holding the football.
No prior opportunity there. You've got to have prior opportunity to get rid of it.
He dropped the football, David. Had it and dropped it.
Fair enough.
Long kick in. Back there as Hall comes through with a fist. Dumped it through for another rush behind. So the 10.5-minute mark of this opening turn. We see now the Bulldogs 2 behinds lead the Eagles on 1.
We will name our ABC Team of the Year at half-time. Be some interesting viewing. I guess that fellow, Stephen, is going to feature at full-back. It's probably only 2 or 3 contenders.
He's had a very good finals campaign as well. Kicks in, goes to what you describe as the slightly defensive side of the ground. That is the far side. Sikalella goes into work with Pearce, gets one a little bit too high, and Rogers, I don't think he heard the whistle, to be honest. It's going to go back. And in my view, the player who was most influential last week in chopping out Tim Weatherall will take the free kick. That's Pearce. Adam Pearce, 27 years of age, just inside half-back, goes short to Robert Shirley, a Crows-listed player. He comes to Holland, another great performer last week. They had some spare ones, but just that drop of the mark has meant that they're covered up. He's good enough, though, to get inside, run his full quota, and then goes to the middle of the ground. Here's a player, by the way, who has to lift and has to lift significantly from last week. It's Matthew Kluzak. Over he goes towards Pesh, and inside half-forward for just the second time. McCarthy, Colville, round the body. It's a tough, tough kick from there. He goes right to the head of the square where he should go. And 2 entries, 2 behinds for the Eagles.
It's interesting you say that, but all year the Eagles, Stephen, haven't gone to the head of the square. They've just gone that 10 metres out. They've come to 20 metres out directly in front. Colville, I'm not sure that he wasn't having a ping at goals, because if he was really centering it, I reckon it should have come out another 10 or 15 metres.
Kick back in, but the Bulldogs find Stevens. Stevens plays on quickly. Heads up towards Kynan Ford. He's in the front position. Good sport from behind by Stevens. Matthew Kluzak's been legged. The umpire has spotted this, and the Eagles will take the free kick. They want the football back. Kynan Ford, give it back. You know, the umpire will penalise you.
You'd hope that the umpires don't get too technical today. They've been outstanding all year, just playing the tough ones, not the ticky-touch wood.
Kick inside half-forward. Couple of possessions for Kluzak now. Hicks to Holm in his last game, and there's the nerves that David's talking about. Perceived pressure or otherwise, there wasn't really anybody around him, but then has the presence of mind to go into the middle of the ground. They can start to build something. How's that for a classic movement?
Kick.
Straight down the middle of the ground. Gowns tried to hit it on, he couldn't do so. The pressure from Tate was outstanding, and Holland clears up. You're going to see a little bit of this during the day because the Eagles' defence is so very, very good. 9 times the Bulldogs have gone inside half forward, yet to get a goal. Floriani, far side of the ground. That's the pressure and the turnover. The Floriani kick goes towards McCarthy. Can't quite take it. Herrera arrives late. Take 2 for Colville, right around the body, up towards the head of the square. This time he goes. I don't think there was a shot there, David. No. McGowan. They work it out very well. Guerra has worked very, very solidly in the early part of the game, and so too as Biglands takes the mark on centre wing.
He is the most mobile big man in the competition. You just can't believe that Port Adelaide have given him away.
That's a bad kick by Biglands. 3-on-1 here, but the ball's been knocked out. A spills free. Pesh runs inside 50 from 40 metres, left leg. Puts it up the top of the square. Back there is Neiman. Couldn't get a hand on the football. And again, it's hit the behind post. It's out of bounds to be thrown back in, we believe. Bit of confusion here from the men in white. Umpire Williams goes across. The boundary and also the goal umpire confer, and the ball will be thrown in.
Oh,
Yep.
Mark, that should be back in the middle now, being bounced down after a goal from Nick Pesh. I think he made a bad decision there, kicking on his left. Had plenty of time to straighten and kick on that natural right foot.
That's okay. I think the way it should have been, though, is a Central District free kick, because it looked to carry the line to me.
Well, the free kick's been found here. A go maybe against Neiman. It has. Marco Bello has come up with the football. Wants to play on quickly. Does. Gives it across to Stewie Dew. Well up the field. Thumps the ball out wide. It has just got inside the boundary line. It's out of bounds to be thrown in. So we're 14.5-minute mark into the year 2000 grand final. The scores are locked away, 2 points apiece.
A few opportunities, and opportunity is a very key word on a day like this. Those opportunities have been blown so far by the Bulldogs inside their forward 50. Quick kick forward, just sitting on the back play is Dew. Got the tips in for the day and the hair. He goes towards half forward. Provides a contest. 2-on-1's always going to be hard from there, though. Tape arrives very late in the scene and pushes it across the line. The umpire's deemed it to be deliberate, I reckon. And Kynan Ford's going to get it right where the 50-metre line intersects the boundary.
Well, you be the judge of this one. Tape came crashing through.
Out on the full.
Yeah, it was out on the full. That was the ruling. The umpire was right on the spot.
Ford puts it right out to within about 30 metres of goal. Biglands works back. I thought he might have got one high. Certainly no free kick coming. And once more, the Eagles work it out of defence. Hall, you're under some real heat, and just manages to keep it in play.
Acknowledges, just took the wrong option. It's just very difficult, isn't it? I think that was a drop kick, by the way. Be a trivia question. Which player drop kicked it in the 2000 grand final?
Ball's down again. Player held without the football. Should have been paid. Oh, good manoeuvre inboard. Gives it back to Healy. Healy gets onto his left leg just outside 50. Thumps to the top of the square. There's Hall. Crashed into. Marco Bello's taken high. Umpire calls play on. And at the bottom of that pack, looks like Ugrinic has put the tackle on Stevens.
Let's have a look at it. I can't understand Hall. Just should have been
Crashed
coming
into.
back and back. It just gave a platform, a hole to take off.
It's fairly busy down there, isn't it? Right in the front end for Central District. Plenty of players back for the Eagles. And things are getting fairly ringy on there.
The Eagles will get a free kick.
Have you ever seen that in the school ground? Pile on?
Stacks on the mill.
That's it. What does that actually mean, stacks on the mill?
I don't know. But that's what it's called. And Biglands, as we suspected, caught one high and gets the free kick.
Biglands decides to go short. It's not a really good one, though, because Healy slides in and takes it. Just that little bit of moisture left still, as Michael Parsons suggested earlier. From the 50-metre line, it's going to be Daniel Healy.
I'll back him here, David.
He is a wonderful kick, isn't he, Healy? And he's kicked over, 35 goals this year. And his accuracy rating's been pretty good too, 35-21.
He'll need to set it right at the left post. Punches it. Starts it too far to the right, and yet another behind on the board. And Michael, we've had a change on the boundary.
Yes, as we called it at the start of the game, Bradley Muller's sitting down, and now Arnold will take his turn at jumping against Biglands.
You see that the way it'll go all day, Michael?
I think pre-game plan from Peter Jonas is to run his big guys off the bench at about the halfway point of each quarter. But to this point in time, I wouldn't have thought that either team has got a real advantage out of their ruck players.
We see Hall there complaining about how close McArdle is to where he's kicking off. He gets out wide. Biglands is pushed in the back. But the umpire has paid the free. No, he's paid the mark. Ball quickly comes back from Arnold and finds Marco Bello.
They probably would have preferred Dew to have taken the mark, wouldn't they? Because Marco's a good player, but I don't think he's got the penetration that Dew had. Nonetheless, this is an important kick.
Looks to his right to give off. There's a lead from Stevens up forward. Gets very close to Floriani. The Breeze has taken this ball and has pushed it wide again. So another behind. 4 behinds now to the Bulldogs. The Eagles are on 2. So a 2-point margin in this year's grand final.
We've said it a couple of times, David, haven't we, that so often it can be the case with the congestion and the confusion, the hurriedness of the first quarter, but going against the Breeze is not always a bad thing. And Central, they've gone in 13 times in their forward 50. The Eagles have gone in 4 times, and yet there's just 4 points on the board.
Pretty fair comment, isn't it?
Ball comes out, the free kick again. Biglands is just putting himself in the front position. The advantage has been paid. The mark has been paid also to Stevens now against McGowan. Stevens needs to get back, give himself a little bit of space before he does release with the football. He now wants to go short. Ciccarella looks like he's there. He takes a good chest mark under a fair bit of pressure there from Gowans. He too gets back quickly, looks at his options. He's got a player in short, decides to head towards Christopher Kluzak. Hasn't arrived, but McCartney has. Couldn't quite get to it. Colville, slick hands across to Matthew Kluzak. It's a high ball going back a bit of Shirley, and he takes the grab. What a mark by Robert Shirley.
Now this is going to be a very tough kick, fellas. Very tough kick.
Has a ping at it and misses. Well, what he did was he went to shape up to kick the ball into a teammate who had a better angle, and the umpire had no hesitation. He waved his arms around like it was a Sunday picnic and said, play on.
They still have to deviate off the line, Steve, when it's all said and done. Looking around is not a crime.
Well, there he is. He's deviated off the line.
No, he didn't. He was on the line. If he'd taken another step, I agree with you entirely.
No, the umpire saw it that way as Pesh.
No, the umpire anticipated.
Got it from Healy, McGowan.
Oh, tackle by Kluzak.
And Hopwood will get a free kick, will it?
Interesting, fellas. Hopwood, who's been the premier halfback flanker in the competition this season, more marks than anyone else, as the umpire kicks a McDonald football. Look at that larrikin in the crowd. What a deal. We've got a photo of you, mate. What a complete moron. Somebody get him and throw him out.
Those little foam balls were distributed before the game. A few of them have found their way under the ground, unfortunately, as Bello goes with his little left leg. Floriani looks like his dad, doesn't he, from years ago. Beveridge. Rogers is there. It's very tough work in there. The whistle went, but the umpire then called play on. James Gowans gets it. They've got some run right into the path now. Now, if they can push it up forward, they had a spare one with McArdle, but the kick was very ordinary. And Stephen Hall is allowed to attack the ball with a little bit of time. He goes towards the far side. Bello. Holm. Last game for Danny Holm, the captain of the Bulldogs. Around the body, and again they've wasted an opportunity. Mark Stevens takes it inside halfback.
Yes, they're just not looking forward, David, at the moment. They're going inside 50 on plenty of occasions, but they just can't find a target.
I think that's a fair comment, Mark. But again, it's early days and both sides have to settle down.
Colville pushes now hard up towards Vigilance. This time he slips over and allows Arnold to clean up. Arnold punches the ball out. A very lazy kick there by Damien Arnold. Is out of bounds on the fall.
Well, it's a difficult thing, isn't it? You come off the bench and you're still not fully warm. You haven't really got immersed in the game, and you just need to measure the kick. There's no forward option. And that breeze is a lot stronger than we'd anticipate.
Sorry, David. Bigland's just coming off now. He'd moved to the forward pocket. Manfield's a better option down there for Paul Hamilton. He'll take in the forward roles while Neiman goes into the ruck.
Down on the Eagles half-forward line. Kluzak had the runner inside, but Damien Hicks had the presence of mind just to get in the right spot. Chris Gowans emerges with the football and kicks it towards centre wing. There is Neiman. We had a suspect report on his fitness as Colville gets it. The pressure's enormous at the moment. It goes right into the middle of the ground, and game 200 for Brian Hereda. To Healy, some runners midfield, couldn't quite get it there. Was the tackle high? It was, without the footy, and Daniel will get it right in the middle of the park.
But again, we've seen marvellous umpiring all year, and I would say 90% of the time that's not a free kick.
The Healy kick is looking at McArdle. It's probably a little bit too wide for Peter Jonas' liking. Stephen Hall's done well early in the game. He pushes it forward. Guerra is there, so too McArdle. Quick kick. Forward it goes, and Jamie Tate just able to pick it off. The Eagles' defence has started beautifully.
Shirley was very good then, fellas. He just stopped Stewie Dew's run at that ball and didn't allow him anywhere near the contest.
Matthew Kluzak is free on the half-board. On the grandstand wing by the time he takes it. Does that. The advantage was paid there. It was a free kick behind field. The umpire waved him on. McCluzak comes out wide. Manfield for his first touch. Just couldn't quite judge it. He believes Marco Bellows has jumped in to Manfield, so the free kick will come back to the Eagles. Another change has been made down at the ground level with Michael Parsons.
Matthew Crow coming on for his run. He replaces the speedy winger in Adam Ugrinik.
I think they're probably a bit concerned about Danny Stevens, who's had some footy, so we'll watch where Andrew Crowell goes to. Healy, busy early for the Bulldogs, goes to the middle of the ground. Arnold back in on the ruck to Healy again.
Bad kick.
Racking up some possessions, but you're right, it was a pretty ordinary kick. That's where they need their half forwards to really be clicking and working very hard to get to the spot. Holland, around the body he goes. Gee, works hard, Holland. I like the way he plays it. Rogers, in he goes. Bello, watch him go off the ground. That was expected. McArdle's there. Now Bello would probably put the shepherd on. He does that. There's not a thing on offer. And hence he hesitated and gave Robert Shirley a chance to effect a very, very good smother. He goes back towards Tate. Tate, ugly looking kick, but very effective, finds Holland.
Holland yet to have a bounce this afternoon. Colville gives it across to Floriani. The build-up again from Cicarella. Cicarella's a high ball. Who's up there? McCartney, also Guerrera. Going back with great courage is Rick McGowan. Wants to play on quickly. Guerrera kicks back in towards Stevens. Stevens takes it to be confronted by 3 Eagles player. Cicarella's there as well. Holland, they have the numbers. Can they get the ball out? Finally, it comes up with Colville. Steps around one, left leg. The pressure, David, is unbelievable out there at the moment. These players cannot maintain this sort of pace on the game.
But this is what grand final's about. Each side, Mark, is trying to crack the other one open early. Now, if it happens, you get a big lopsided grand finals. One side runs away, but both sides are withstanding the pressure. Both sides are applying equal pressure, and neither side's cracked. You'd hope that they don't crack until 20 minutes into the final quarter, one side, if in fact they do, but at this rate, they're both really in an arm wrestle.
Well, if you've just tuned in, it's the 25-minute mark, and I can't believe that my football budget doesn't have a mark on there for a goal kicker. 4 points the Bulldogs, 3 points the Eagles. Here's an opportunity though for the Dogs. It's a much more accurate pass. Holmer charge. He has got all the time in the world. He strolls in and from 49 metres. Here's an opportunity for the Dogs, and he's just come up short. Take a bow, Stephen Hall. He worked back courageously. Didn't know where the goalpost was and threw himself at it with gay abandon.
Well, grand finals are about heroics like this, isn't it? He knew the goalpost was somewhere there. His awareness was very good. He had a quick look, but still had the presence of mind to keep the eye on the ball. And these footballs, fellas, let's just say, let's not have them back next year. It's about the 3rd or 4th one that's come over the fence from some idiot fan. And you'd have to say the idea is great, but it's not working.
Oh, really has been working hard up towards Neiman. 1-2 grabs at it. In there with him is Rick McGowan. We'll just wait now. Blood rule's been issued. Looks like it's coming against Rick McGowan. So a change will need to be made here.
Well, funny enough, I think this will work for Central District, Mark. They've just been hurrying their work in their forward line. I think they need to restructure a little bit. McCardle and Ford have just been running across each other's lines a little bit, and it might well be that somebody out in the midfield just gets them together and settles them down a little bit. They've had the use of the breeze, and they certainly, Michael, need a couple of quick goals.
David, just from down here, Coach Jonas has already recognised the fact that his midfield wasn't as effective as it could be, and he'd called a rotation for Steinmurder to come on in replacement of Danny Holm, but with the blood rule to Ricky McGowan, that's all been changed up, but it's still Steinmurder taking his place on the park.
I think the point's a good one that they've both been crashing in hard and getting their possessions, but it's the use of the footy at the moment that's been poor from both sides. There's an old saying that now passed away, but very great Jack Odie used to say, and that is, you've got to get it. The game's pretty simple. You've just got to get it and then make the ball work for you. Well, that latter part, not really going according to plan for either side at the moment. Rogers, quick kick, a high kick. The umpire might have called play on there, but the mark's going to be taken by Michael Stevens, half forward, left side. Pretty tough kick without the boot on, I would think. This will slide off the side, but no, in fact, it's a beautiful kick. Leave it off for the day. It goes down towards the forward pocket. Shirley's there. They've got the numbers again, the Eagles, and once more, it's like a broken record. They work it out from defence.
Kick up, half-back line again. Will the ball be kept in? It is by Stevens. One without the boot. High ball over the top now. Bad kick by Stevens. Just picked out Cicarella. Now Cicarella can come wide with a kick towards Crow. Crow should take this. He does. Wants to get the ball moving quickly. Colville's found some space by himself. Now he has time. It's a slip over forward. This allows Kluzak a little bit of time. The punch over the top. Back there is Manfield. Just needs to get hand and ball to boot. Couldn't do it. Great work by Quinton Graham. The last line of defence goes towards Hicks. Hicks across the Steinburner. Burner goes out wide again. The kicking out of defence wasn't good by the Bulldogs. And Andrew Rogers takes the mark across the Cicarella. Cicarella up towards Floriani. The umpire needs to bring the Bulldogs player back over the mark. He does it now. So Floriani, half forward flank, chips it up towards Christopher Kluzak, but just chipping in there was Brent Guerrera.
Yes, Guerrera showed great courage, waiting at the fall of the pack. The ball dropped short into the breeze, and he was sitting where a good little fellow should be, right at the front.
So Central get their opportunity from defence. They go to the far side. Jamie Tate works back. Couldn't quite hang on to it. There's been some errors early in this game. Far side, Floriani puts the pressure on. You'd think the boundary line beckons with Kynan forward. Mark Stevens is there. Andrew Rogers. His distribution forward is okay to Pearson. Holland. The tackling has been very good from both sides, and that would be an absolute rarity. The first quarter of a grand final gone by. Neither side gets a goal on the board at quarter time in the big one, the grand final here at Football Park. 5 points to 3 points. The Eagles trail by 2 behind.
Right at this point, Stephen, you've got to say that the Eagles would go away with the points out of that term. Central had what we believe was a 3 or 4 goal breeze, and to be 2 points down going into quarter time. But as we've said, often you win the toss and you go with the breeze. It may not be a blessing. Central District have worked hard. Their work rate's been terrific. Neither side's cracked at this point. Defensive pressure is the key word in both these games. Both defences are working very, very hard. Colville on screen has been picked up by Hopwood. I think that's a negative because Hopwood hasn't attacked for Central District, and Colville's been a pretty good player so far for the Eagles. So at a 2-point ball game as we go into quarter time, and the Eagles with the breeze will certainly have a very interesting second quarter.
Well, in the last 50 years, the winner of the second semi-final, who's had the break in the preliminary final week, have statistically done the best in the grand final. But as David said, the Eagles have the best start in the grand final here. Despite trailing by 2 points, this is quarter time of the SANFL grand final on your ABC.
Recapping that scoreboard, just a 2-point ball game at quarter time in the grand final. No goal kickers yet at all,
Steve.
Steve.
Isn't it? You wouldn't think that. In fact, if you just tuned in and saw the scoreline, you'd think it had been bucketing. But it's quite a fine day, a bit of a breeze, but remarkable scoreline. Entries in terms of forward 50, Central District did it the best. They had plenty of it with the breeze at their back, but they just couldn't convert, and that's why you're saying quite rightly that the Eagles would take the points. If it were a boxing bout, they'd have the judges' points at the moment.
Just at the moment, Mark, as we look at the stats, I think the key one here is the inside 50 for Central District.
Yes, David, we start from the bottom. We just see 19 as compared to the Eagles 11. They had plenty of opportunities, did the Bulldogs, going forward, but just looking at their options, really just making the right decision at the right time is just so critical. Centre breaks, we've only had one of those. It was the first bounce of the day, and that favoured the Bulldogs. Hit-outs, well, pretty close. A great duel between the ruckman out there this afternoon. Freeze, pretty good umpiring so far in this grand final. Well, marks, kicks and handballs, not a great deal of difference. We see the 77 possessions to the Bulldogs as compared to the Eagles on 88.
Fair enough. Tackling in this game,
That has been a feature.
A real feature, hasn't it, I thought?
It's just the use of the ball, and gee, we've got some good people working around us, you know. Where the statisticians just come up to me, Ian Mogridge, and he said since 1945, there's only been one time, and that's in 1979, where there was a completely goalless quarter. So, well, we've seen some sort of history. It just is, well, it means that the scores are pretty close.
I'd love to have my stats with me, you know, but Scott Infeld borrowed my car during the week. He's got all my stats in the boot. Scott, if you're out there, bring them down to Footy Park. I need them, old son.
Moggy's with us, he's okay.
But the tackling, back to the tackling. The tackle on Holland, I thought, really set the scene early for Central District.
Well, you'd expect that early in the grand final, and we made comment perhaps 2/3 of the way through that term, as you see the holding the ball decision, that really it's the use of the ball. Cool heads in these sort of situations are just so important. Neither side's been able to make the most of it, and I suppose, once again, given that the Eagles have defended so stoutly, they have the advantage going to the second term.
Now, what about Nick Pesh? We thought he might have to kick a bucketful for the Eagles to really fire up today.
Well, I actually thought, David, on this entry that he could have got himself onto his preferred leg. That is his right leg. He came to the grandstand side, left side, got himself onto the left leg, and I know there were a couple of players on the inside, but just there could have straightened up and gone with the right. In the end, it slipped across the face, and they had a boundary throw-in.
Now, Danny Holm, we know that he'll retire at the end of this year. He has a job in England.
He's an accountant.
Is he? So there's a lot of emotion. Narrator's got 200 games. Holmes retiring already, has announced his retirement to go to England, and a big game for him.
Well, you don't need too many other incentives on a day like this, particularly when you're looking for your first premiership. But Daniel Holm, when he had a crack at it forward, you would have expected, given they didn't have a huge number back there, the Eagles, that they might have been in good shape. But they have the best back six, in my view, on paper, and in reality, in the competition, the Eagles. They're very hard to get through. Well,
Holm took a big fly then, but I thought he was very clever just a few moments later, where he got away, got a mark, turned around, and lined up the goals. And I thought
I thought
it was going to be the Bulldogs' first goal. It looked, for all intents and purposes, that he was balanced and he was ready.
Well, maybe I was going to say the old legs, but they're not that old, really. I just felt like he underestimated himself on that. He just could have got another 5-10 metres closer and given himself an opportunity. But Ifs, buts and maybes, they've missed it, and now the Bulldogs have got an enormous amount of work going into the breeze in this second term.
Now, what do the coaches say? You've been in this position as coach of Sturt. What do the coaches say?
Well, from Peter Jonas's point of view, he would be very keen to go to the outer side, use the ball up, spend some time, go to the outer side of the ground, and the Eagles is very simple. Despite the fact that they were able to keep them out in that first term, they'll want to go direct and right down the middle of the ground and use that breeze.
Well, Peter Jonas has been pretty served all year by attacking. Let's see what he's had to say to his players at quarter time as we go down to the central huddle and Michael Parsons.
Yes, Peter Jonas pretty happy with the pressure that his players were able to exert in that first quarter. Spent most of the time in the huddle just restructuring his forward line. Matthew Slade will start on the half-forward flank, and he's saying to them, don't just sit in there, empty it out, give us some space, and we've got to get back into the channel going forward rather than playing wide to the flanks, which he felt they did a little bit too much in that first quarter. Paul Hamilton, on the other hand, he too was happy with the pressure his players were able to exert. Look for Dutchy Holland on the kick-outs, but all in all, a pretty good start from the Eagles.
No doubt, Paul Hamilton on screen with Andrew Rogers, the skipper, and it's been a wonderful season for him. Peter Jonas, who's coached so very well this year, and came into this grand final by knocking out the Eagles in the second semi-final. Mark, you look at Hamilton, you look at McGowan on the bench, and you say, well, you know that there's more pace required in the midfield, and the Bulldogs have gone for some fresh legs.
Yes, Dave, you just look at the Eagles midfield with Colville, also Pearce. A little bit of pace there with Beveridge as well, pretty quick over the first 10 metres. But the umpire now just waiting for the players to get back into position before he can start the second term. It really was a tremendous opening term of football. The siren sounds, the second quarter. It's a 2-point margin favouring the Bulldogs. They'll kick against a slight breeze here in the second quarter. First touch heads down towards the Eagles player in Beveridge. Beveridge comes out hard to try to get the second effort. Hit hard was Hopwood from Beveridge. In there is a Lager, can't get rid of the handball. Working over the top there is Pearce. So the Bulldogs take a little bit of punishment there in the opening seconds of the second term.
Rick McGowan had 10 possessions in the first quarter. Peter Jonas has dragged him off.
Well, he came off with the blood rule, David. And I just think that maybe just give him a little bit of a break. It was pretty hot out there early. And it is. I mean, you look at the player in question, Rick McGowan, and he's 29 years of age. Really just give him a bit of a break, bring him back on, maybe about the 10-minute mark of the second quarter.
Mark, you're 100% right. Peter Jonas said he'll just sit for 5 minutes, take a break, and then he'll come on with some fresher legs.
Not that unusual, though, is it? They've used him in bursts through the year, and Chris Gowans is going to get a ball right on centre wing. Where's it going to come from? That's the big question at the moment. The first goal of the game, where is it going to come from? The Eagles now with time and an opportunity to get back and close up that central forward line. A tough call at the moment to try and find some spaces. Standing his ground on his tape to Colville. He'll probably go short to Beveridge. Needed to pick him up, Daniel Healy. In fact, it was Chris Gowans, just let him go. That's a pretty ambitious sort of a handball. Put Crowell under all sorts of pressure. Thought he might have got the free kick in the end. Trying to push the ball forward was number 59 for Central District, Matthew Slade. Comes back, Stevens. Michael Stevens and Danny Stevens are in work together in tandem. Floriani. That's the flying mare from Matthew Slade. Beveridge, and again a high ball. Haven't seen a lot of fluency so far from either side, have we? Smashed forward towards Beveridge. Tackles pretty good from Danny Stevens. Pushes him to the ground, will have a bounce down.
Fellas, I'm not sure Colville's completely fit as we go to Michael Parsons with the Bulldogs bench.
You just have a look at the Central's bench, sitting down as Moller, Holm and McGowan. So a fair bit of talent just waiting to come back on for Central District.
I just finished. I don't reckon Colville's fit, fellas. He was a spectator in that last minute and a half of play, and he's normally immersed in the play.
It's funny, though, we thought that last week a couple of times, and he just kept on keeping on. So I suspect he's got one of those things that is with him the whole time, but doesn't really stop him in the end.
So he just hasn't got the spark that we're used to seeing.
David, there's no secret. He's got a groin injury at the moment. I mean, he's lucky to be out there. He's taking a fair bit of punishment from Christopher Gowan so far. He's watching him fairly closely. But Tate, what a game of football he's playing so far. Really is controlling that back line. Come up there was Rogers around his body. This should find Crow. Crow should come across to Stevens. This releases Stevens. He's got 5 metres. Now gives the ball up forward quickly. The boys at the back, it's Neiman, a great mark. Reading that beautifully. The Brett Guerrero, I think it was.
Geister.
There's a Geister back there. Good spoil this time by Colbert. It's a little bit too high.
Let me tell you,
Free kick goes against Stevens.
Geister's shaping up as a very, very good player. He's just nudged Christopher Kluzak under the contest. Now, it can't go with Kluzak for pace, but he's playing a very clever game. He's playing with his brain.
Geister and Steinburner into the Central District team. Little push out. Arnold's going to take it right on centre wing here. 3.5 minutes gone in the grand final second term. Was that a hold? No. Holland did well to get away with it. Just enough physical pressure. Tape, possession number 8 for him. Floriani. He attacks the ball like he really wants it, doesn't he? Well done by Biglands, but then he gave it back. That's great poise and great balance from Danny Stevens. He pushes it forward. Chris Gowans is there. They've got some loose ones now, finally. He gives it over to James Gowans. He gets inside. Healy's normally a pretty good kick. He waltzes around Andrew Rogers and kicks his first. Finally, someone's got one in the grand final 4 minutes into the second term. Central are 1-5 and the Eagles are 3 behind.
Put that one down to Chris Gowans. If we get the replay and it goes back far enough, you'll see one of the most courageous takes. Takes off, gets it out. We didn't go back that far. But you just see the balance. Then all players were running. Healy swings back onto the left. And from there, it's a lay down the there, isn't it? Just straightens up, chips it around the corner. But Chris Gowans set that up. Took the very hard ball and he should have been creamed. Could have spent the night in hospital, but committed himself, straight line, ran right through the ball, delivered it out to his brother, who started the chain reaction, and Healy finished it off.
Bounce favours Arnold. Again they go forward, the Bulldogs. From Marco Bello, goes up towards young Matty Slade. He turns around. He's got Steinburner free, finds the player by himself. So Nathan Steinburner wants to get him moving quickly, just slipped over. Had the lead from Kynan Ford. In fact, it was Stewie Dew. Everyone's all of a sudden moving. Back there is Colville. This good spoil by Gowans. Down to McArdle. Across to Gowans. Gowans left leg. Is it the second one for the game? It's not. In fact, it's right across the face of goals and out of bounds on the full.
Momentum's a funny thing, isn't it? James Gowans puts that through after really linking up. And the Bulldogs unite. Their fans start centraling and suddenly there's some emotion in the ground. He misses and they're still not fully pumped.
I know it's an overused term in footy, this momentum thing, but gee, what a difference a goal makes, because all of a sudden Central in the midfield have got a real energy. There's a buzz about what's happening in there, and the Eagles are starting to chase, having to chase.
But they've done it into the breeze too. You know, there was a thought that the Eagles had come out of the quarter. I certainly presented it, that the Eagles just at that point had the upper hand. Well, clearly the momentum has swung back to the Bulldogs.
It's a bit more conventional too from the Eagles at the moment. Instead of having more numbers pushing back into their defensive region, they're playing it more conventionally, so therefore Central have got some more spaces to work to. Gowans from left leg, that's James Gowans, has a ping at it and misses. So it's arguably one of the most inaccurate starts to a grand final you can remember. 1-6, plays 3 behind.
He's averaging a goal a game, this fellow, and you might think that perhaps the reason he lost his opportunity at AFL level was a slight bit of pace, not quite quick enough. At this level, he's certainly clever enough, but it's sometimes just the finish that makes the difference.
You Dogs.
Oh, listen to that. The Doggies fans are on their feet. They're chanting as one. As the ball's kicked back in again, Biglands couldn't quite get to it. Coming up is Arnold, he's tackled, that's holding the ball, Arby calls play on. Crowell goes out wide with a handball, finds Rogers. Rogers just can't quite get to it either. The intensity's still high between these two sides. Diving in quickly there was Pearce. The man in white gets to the contest and will bounce up. 12 plays 3. We see a 9-point margin towards the Bulldogs. We're 7 minutes into the second term. Again, the ball's knocked down. Arnold taken, breaks the tackle, then releases the kick. At the back is Holland in front. Gowans just too tall there for Dutchy Holland. Wants to have a shot, got a player short, finds him. And Nathan Steinburner will kick from 45, virtually directly in front.
What a wonderful story this is. Nathan Steinburner, at just 23 years of age. After the qualifying final, he had an appendix operation. Nobody gave him a chance of playing in this game. But what recuperative powers he must have had.
Gallagher, what can he do? They're looking for their second goal. The kick's high, it's long and it's strong, but it's not accurate. So another behind. A couple of wasted opportunities from set shots from the Bulldogs in the second term, but they really have started so well. And David, the inside 50s really are starting to tell a story.
24-12, and more importantly, 8 scoring shots for Central, 3 to the Eagles. It's pretty clear cut that the Bulldogs really are forcing the ball in its high pressure into their forward line.
That's all okay, but you've seen it so often, haven't you, where a side surges, they go forward, the other side then get it together, and they're very much within striking distance, the Eagles at the moment, 10 points behind. Central start to work it out. Steinburn is coming into the game big time in the middle of the ground. 4th kick for Steinburner if he finally does get it to boot. Not a lot of free options, and that's why he's taking so much time. He goes out towards the half-forward flank on the right side. McArdle gets there, can't quite take the mark. The spoiler was good. So too Chris Gowans. Stevens forward. Here's a one-on-one contest and half a chance. And allows Drew to come quickly. He is clever, the boy. Watch this go around the body, and you can just about put it down. The Bulldogs get their second at the 9-minute mark. 2-7 to 3 points.
There's very few players that close to goal with the goal sense of this kid. He's powerful. Strong hips and thighs, and when he gets the ball in that close situation, he sidesteps beautifully. Just watch all the skills. Shirley did everything right at this point. Put the boot out, stopped him, but he just lost Beveridge, and nobody can get close to him. He sidesteps, turns away, and brings it back beautifully.
Michael Parsons, there's some big changes being made down there at ground level.
Yes, both changes rotating the midfield for Eagles. Beveridge comes off, has a rest. He can go straight into the middle. And Holm, the captain of the Doggies, he's back on, and James Gowans has his turn on the pine.
Well, the pirouette tackles all of a sudden been paid to Pearce. Biglands works forward hard and takes the safe chest mark. He's well out from goals, has a lead from Kluzak. They need something here, they need a score. The thumping kick by Biglands. What a kick! What a goal! The Eagles get their first for the afternoon, and the first to Biglands.
And I sense a few hopes of his teammates went up with that kick too. It was 55 out, using the breeze and a powerful kick, and I think he's shown a few of the forwards that they can come right down the field, take the ball outside 50 and still kick a goal. The Eagles have been milling around the 30-metre, 40-metre area, but I think it's time for them to come out. They're clearly beaten at centre-half forward, the Eagles, and maybe Biglands has just opened the door and shown them the way.
Back to 10 points the difference.
Stephen, there was carry on that kick with the wind, but the wind is starting to swing more westerly and heading more across the ground now than straight down it, favouring the Eagles.
And you'll think, if we know Footy Park at all, that it will finish up as a southerly coming straight down the middle of the ground. So this is a very, very important part of the game. Danny Stevens, far side of the ground, has a paddock to work in. Andrew Rogers will round him up like a sheepdog. Can't do it. In fact, he does do it absolutely beautifully. How about that for some experiences? Adam Pearce gets it on centre wing. He's the recipient of that. The smother from Holm is brilliant. What a great passage of play. Gets inside. Danny Holm, terrific work. Gets inside 50 now for the umpteenth time, the 26th time it falls short. And it's taken by Rob Shirley.
It wasn't Shirley's, the kick going forward there before by Pearce. He had no one up forward. He just had to hang on to it. Holm sensed that. And a free kick now goes against the Eagles from Jamie Tate. They're playing on at all costs, the Eagles, this afternoon. I can't see why, but every opportunity in the half-back line, they're just playing on.
What was that free kick for?
Holding the ball.
Due, short pass. It's too high, though, and it gives the Eagles defence another chance. Sikalella comes back. Gee, that's a wonderful little couple of minutes of play, wasn't it? Tough tackling, smothering. All the work there in the world to try and get the ball back from the opposition. Matthew Kluzak overruns it and gets a push in the back. So the umpires are having a fair bit to say at the moment.
We have a look at the free kicks. 23 free kicks already in this match, and we're used to seeing perhaps 20 for a game.
Colwell, right spot, held without the football. Will receive the free kick. The Eagles will go inside 50 again. McCartney's screaming out for the ball. Kluzak gives the other lead. What can they do as the rain starts to fall here at Football Park? It's a high ball, McCartney. A Raider. Manfield off the ground. Couldn't quite control the soccer going forward. Another behind to the Eagles. They move on to 1-4-10. They still trail by 9 points over the Bulldogs.
9 points is nothing even in these wet conditions. Manfield was very clever here. Sometimes you've just got to claw your way back. It wasn't a bad attempt. He kicks a goal, it's a team lifter. A point still an important contribution in what will be, we think, a pretty low-scoring game.
Looks pretty grey, doesn't it? Stays wet, David. Who does that help?
Truthfully, I would have said Central District.
Time will tell. 2-7 to 1-4. Tough mark to take now. I thought that was just about going to be paid to Biglands. He wanted to shovel it out. He does it in the end, and the boundary line underneath the old scoreboard, far side of the ground. 13 minutes gone, and it's 9 points of difference.
The only reason I really say that too is Central District have got a lot of players from Victoria used to playing in these sorts of conditions. Their leg speed is perhaps not quite as quick as the Eagles. This brings them back to the field in terms of matching the Eagles' pace, and I think their hands in close have been better so far in these wet conditions.
How's the tackling and the smothering and the chasing? And we talked at quarter time about the fact that some of the skill execution has been poor, or a little bit disappointing, but when you're at such a big game and you've got that sort of heat coming on from the opposition, it really sorts out those skillful players from the rest. Matthew Kluzek, here's the run. Nick Pesh gets inside, can't quite get away, put the foot to the floorboard, but still manages to get across to a teammate in Floriani, who pings it and misses.
Floriani reckons that was a goal. He's clearly not happy.
Paul Hamilton just asking scoreboard to check. Goal or not a goal?
I don't think so.
Just how tough is this game of football? We expected it before the game. People have been asking me all week, who do I think is going to win? I just said it's just so close. I just can't separate these two teams. Again, they'll go forward. Sikalala pops the ball over the top. Mark Willie taken by Dylan. Comes up with it, looks to give the handball across. Higgins across to Colville. Colville from 40. The second major on the board for the Eagles from the boot of Gavin Colville.
Well, we've talked about momentum, and it's interesting, isn't it? Since Manfield's come and the Eagles have gone back to their normal setup across half forward, Manfield does cover an enormous amount of territory. When he does, he leaves a big hole. Higgins dropped it and had the presence of mind to come back. Colville, now he's got a groin inflammation. That kick was from 40 metres out, one step turning it around the corner. That is an unbelievable effort for a bloke who's carrying a groin injury.
Peter Jonas got his best four in the middle now, David. Ricky McGowan back on, Michael Stevens sitting down, and he's in the middle with Bello and Holm.
Biglands, so influential in the preliminary final, gets it forward. Andrew Crowell, loss of feet. You've got the stops on out there at the moment, no moulded soles. Pearce lost it, tries to get it back, but by then the opposition were well onto him. Andrew Crowell, around the body he goes with the left leg. It's a really, really critical time of the game now. Central start to work it out with Hopwood. They've got some numbers in the middle of the ground, but it didn't quite go where they wanted it to go. Stuart Dew was well covered. Pearce, handball is good to Stevens. Stevens just enough time to get the eyes up, and that is going back. Well, I tell you what, that's a little bit of over-umpiring, boys.
No, he was taken high, David, as he kicked it. So it was as he was kicking the ball, it had to come back. But I reckon this goes against the Eagles.
But I think Stevens made the comment, and all I need to say is he's right.
16 minutes over. 2 points the difference, and you sense that this is probably going to stay now close for the rest of the game. So the supporters here might get a wet tail, but I think they're in for an enthralling afternoon in terms of being on the edge of their seats. Spoiled forward, Herrera. 3 is Manfield. He handed it back, but there was some pretty heavy traffic in there. Steinburner is there, his short pass. Has a look at Danny Stevens, and Danny Stevens from inside half-back goes with a long, raking, penetrating drop punt kick. A little bit of interference from Rogers, but the umpire quite rightly called play on. Some pace there with Holland, isn't it? He really can go a bit, and then has the poise to use it to Floriani, who was influential in kicking that last goal. Floriani, short pass, middle of the ground, and finds Pearce.
I had a couple of York Peninsula people last week. Just patted Babe Mackay on the back, believing that he has the ability to go on and play at a higher grade in the AFL. And I have to agree with you. What I've seen so far, especially in the finals, has been pretty good.
Well, he's 26, and a lot of people wouldn't think of him as an automatic recruit, but when you see what he does and how he breaks lines apart, you've got to give him a chance.
Oh, this ball's getting slippery. Both teams finding it hard. This little knock on. Coming across as Pearce, great courage. But they have the numbers, they have the runners. Comes up with Graham. Graham heads up towards Matty Slade. Slade just can't kick the football in, as more changes are now being made at ground level.
Fellas, I tell you, there's a lot of change too. The Eagles are running out of defence. They were inhibited in the first quarter. They are taking off. They are making the Central District players chase them. They're trying to turn them lactic. It's a great tactic at this point of the game.
Boundary throw in, Floriani. Tape hasn't even been impressive so far, as has Pearce and Holland. The defensive unit, I've said it a couple of times, they are almost impregnable. Almost, because so far Central have 2, but they're a tough nut to crack back there.
Now Hopwood, fellas, has taken more marks than any other player in the competition this year. and he's not having a big game. It's wet, and it's interesting. There'd be half a dozen or more AFL scouts looking at him today.
Half a dozen.
Well, perhaps 16.
16 of them would be here today.
I think.
Forward the ball goes. Guerra couldn't. Pesh. See, I hate that rule because I just reckon that what it means is in the ground, if the ball doesn't go 10 metres, it's not a legitimate kick. So those little ones that dribble off the boundary line shouldn't be a legitimate kick either.
It was great reward for pressure, though, wasn't it? Guerra has been fantastic this quarter.
Just my point is that it becomes a fluke, a bit fluky, that it dribbles off the boot and through no fault of anybody's except for luck. Anyway, inside half-back, the Bulldogs have it. Very close to Matthew Kluzak. The man on the mark went Geister. Bigland's used the body well on Moller. Numbers on the check side are with Central as Bello gets it forward. Slade, doesn't he attack the football with a fervour? And we'll have another bounce down on centre wing.
He is fantastic, but take your hat off to Floriani, who did not deviate 1 centimetre. Great effort by both players.
Well, only 4 goals have been kicked today, 2 apiece. Really has been a great contest. We see Gowan's taken high as he kicked out. The umpire calls play on. The back there was Jamie Tape. He's waiting for the crumbs. Couldn't quite pick it up. They throw their bodies over the top of the football here.
This is the most intense tackling and ability to get numbers of players around the ball I've seen this year.
Well, they just can't maintain this intensity, David, for 4 quarters. You reckon they can? I don't think they can. Somebody will have to tire when it does. Oh, Bigland's up high again. We see it every once in a while. He has a jump at it. Ricky McGowan, was that out? I think Michael Parsons is down there closer than what I am. We might get his comment in a minute, but Cicarella goes for the soccer instead of putting his body over the top of the ball. Danny Holm does. Trying to pick up the players at the bottom of that pack. I can see
I reckon you're being a bit unfair on Cicarella. He went to kick it off the ground, then when he missed, he put his body right in the thick of it, right over the top of the ball. I thought his first effort was good, missed. Second effort was better. His third effort was better again.
Michael, one thing we know about Football Park, it doesn't get too boggy, but it does get very slippery like this.
Yes, that drizzle just starting to float down again, and it is very slippery on top. But the players are handling it well. And Steinberner came off the ground. It was a quick change from Coach Peter Jonas. Just wondering if he's hurt, but he's okay.
Holland dropped a gear and he needed to do it because he was under some pressure. Crowd gets it. Not much in front of him except for James Gowans. He gets around him in a waltz and then goes towards centre wing. 2-on-2 out here. This will be a challenge for Matthew Kluzak, who takes the mark of the grand final so far. Goes up inside half forward. Good looking kick too. Well, good looking in terms of its trajectory, but the direction was poor. And it'll be taken backward off the ball by Guerra.
Pesha's going to have to pick up because Guerra has been a dominant player out of the back pocket. And Pesha's not had any part of the action this term at all.
Graham is a skillful player. We saw a pick up from him earlier and another one just there. Matthew Kluzak. Haven't seen much of brother Chris so far. Rogers, Colville, still continuing to be effective even if he is only at 75% fitness. Goes over the back. Here's Chris Kluzak, spoke of him a moment ago, just runs past the footy. Hereda. They work it out with Healy, it looked like. Unfamiliar left leg.
Hopwood.
And again a skill error, this time from Hopwood, and it falls to Crowd.
Crowd's been very good. That move has been terrific because he's given them some real mobility. Manfield's come through that area as well, and they're both running hard.
Bigland's at the back. He pulls one down again. Rhett Bigland. He's already kicked one this quarter, David. Will line up for his second.
And Looming is the Jack Oatey medalist. If you awarded it right now, Biglands would take the medal.
Fellas, that was great work from Biglands. He ran from the other side of the centre a good 80 metres to get himself forward of the play and in position to take that fantastic mark.
Well, we saw him kick one from here before, from right on 50. He's a little bit closer, maybe a couple of metres. The ball may be a little bit heavier as well as we've had the rain, but he has the distance, he has the accuracy. That's his second. And fellas, the Eagles are in front for the first time of the day.
What you don't remember, this fellow's only 23 and he's only played 38 or 39 games of SANFL footy. He's had 4 kicks, 2 handballs, but his ruck work has been outstanding, and around the ground he's competed at every contest, and these 2 goals have really put the Eagles back in the game. In fact, that one put him back in front, and the emotion is right. He is leading the emotional charge.
He missed one in the second semi, if you remember, very late, and he was very hard on himself. Rebounded the play beautifully last week and is in good form at the moment. But Central with James Gowan in the middle of the ground. Finally, they get a free one away, but that's an ordinary kick and goes to the arms of Mark Stevens, who read it very, very well. He hands off to Tape.
That's a great kick.
I know it's very early to be talking about Jack Odin medalists, but I wouldn't mind having a claim on Tape at the moment either. Steinburner couldn't get away. The tackle was good. Just got a leg to it, though. Central have some numbers. The tackling from Shirley is brilliant. And we'll have a bounce down. 23 and a half minutes gone. The Eagles by 4 points.
We may get a weather update. Looks like the rain has stopped a little bit there, Michael.
Yeah, so I'm starting to dry out a little bit. The ground, though, is very greasy. And another interchange, one that Peter Jonas foretold at quarter time. Matthew Slade returning to the bench, and Steinburner takes his position back on the field.
Stuart Dew, actually, and I'm surprised that Dew's had a bit of a sit down for a while.
In front, the big fella in Manfield gives the handball across. Look like Pearce. Pearce goes one way, needs support again, gets around Gowans, then spots the player up wide. Having to sit as Kluzak, couldn't quite get up high enough. McCartney brings it back. In there again is Manfield. A little kick forward, finds Steinburner. Steinburner goes around one, gives the ball back again. A little left-footed kick, been touched on the way through, but still taken by Hopwood.
Trouble, Manfield.
He's holding his arm or his shoulder. Back there it's Crow. Pirouette tries to give the ball away. He's tackled and thrown to the ground. He's in there again. Fights hard for the second effort. The Bulldogs come up with the football. Going back is Dutchy Holland. In front is Hall. Hall! Great courage. Pearce touched the chutney. Should be paid against him. And we'll see for the first time in the afternoon, Stewie Dew was a kind and forward.
No, Stewie Dew.
Stewie Dew, it is my first call.
The umpire was right there, Mark, because if Pearce had just kept going, you'd have to pay the free kick. Manfield's off. It might go down to Michael.
Yes, Manfield took a kick. It was just one of the Central players trying to kick the ball off the ground, hit him right in the forearm. I wouldn't be surprised if that is a broken bone.
Not good news there for the Eagles supporters sitting at home this afternoon. We'll just go back, the action with Stewie Dew. The distance won't be a problem. This will put the Bulldogs back in front if he can kick through. Gets very close, but he loves to kick a goal, does Stewie Dew. That's his second for the afternoon. And the Doggies, they move on to 3-7 and lead the Eagles on 3-5.
He did kick 5, didn't he, in the second semi-final, and wreak havoc. This is just a great tackle. Hall's forced to get it out. Pearce got nowhere to go. Dew just held his line beautifully, measured his physical presence against that of Pearce. Look at the kicking style. Straight over the top of the ball. Eyes down, head down, toes pointed. That is a classic kicking style. This fellow, prodigious talent.
Well, fair to say he's one of the best kicks in the AFL, much less the SANFL. Real penetration in the kick and makes every one of them count. James Gowans and Chris Gowans together are combining very, very nicely for Central now. They go forward. Dew couldn't quite get both hands at it. Daniel Stevens having a wonderful battle out there on centre wing. Ugrinik moves off him early, but continuing to be effective is Mark Stevens. It's a great smother. Stuart Dew with the smother. That's symptomatic of what's happened today and very typical of what's happened today. The smothering, the tackling, the blocking been superb.
And the momentum is swinging back, isn't it? You just feel that Central have got themselves back in the game. The Eagles were out of it momentarily. Then through great work by Biglands who got back. But Stewie Dew has been the man who's held their forward line together.
Biglands and Arnold, how long can those two players keep going hard at it? Great handball by Gowans, finds his brother. He just puts the ball out for Rick McGowan up forward. He's outside 50. Wants to get the ball chipped in quickly. He's found Danny Holm. The captain takes the mark 45 metres out, directly in front.
The Bulldogs are attacking, fellas. They're running hard from defence. Their creativity in the midfield through the two Gowans boys and McGowan has been terrific. And Holm is just the cherry on the cake. Leads out into space created by the others running forward.
So just thought he was a little bit too far out. Spotted Healy, who is a prodigious kicker of the football.
You think of the left footers that the Bulldogs have got, and there's quite a number of them. You'd really give Healy a fair show at this one.
Well, it's a 27.5-minute mark of the second quarter. Healy unleashes with the big kick. I think he's pushed it across the face. He has. Nearly hit the behind post, David. But it's another behind, so they move on to 3-8-26, a 3-point margin over the Eagles.
Now, if you go into half-time, 3 points adrift, I don't think there's a clear-cut winner. I don't think you'd say that Centrals have had the better second half or the Eagles have had the better second half in any of their games this year.
don't think either side has a particular advantage in that way, and neither side could really stake a claim to having a dominance in their first half, so we're in for a really entertaining second half of footy, and that is the end of the first half. There's 2 points into the quarter time. At half time it's just the 3 points of difference, and a little bit of line drawing in the sand there, but that's it for the first half, and I suspect that we are set up for an absolutely terrific second half of footy. Half time in the grand final, 3-8, playing 3-5.
And you've got to say, it's everything we hoped it would be. The two best sides in the competition. The Eagles already having won the under-17s, 19s and reserves, playing for a place in history to be the only side. Rick McGowan is just frustrated with some of the umpiring. I think Richard Williams would come off at half-time. It's very rare that players question umpires as they come off the ground, but certainly we've had a feeling of over-umpiring in the first half. Richard Williams has put the whistle away and has probably been the best of them. But I think it's clear-cut that the second half of this match is going to heat up even further.
We had a goal less first term, but in the second term, Stuart Dew for the Bulldogs exploded into action. He kicked a couple. Red Bigland's had a couple for the Eagles. This is a tremendous game, and it's all set up for a tremendous second half of football on ABC Sport.
Hope you're enjoying this, the 2000 Grand Final between the Eagles and Central District. The two top sides of the competition battling it out grand final day. Stephen Trigg rejoins us. Triggy, there's a lot to like in this match. The tackling's been just terrific and ferocious.
Well, there were a lot of people before the game and football experts who couldn't split the two teams. Both had the perfect preparation coming in, as we said at the head of the show. Central needed the hit out, or then needed the break, and the Eagles needed the hit out, and it's proven to be just that. A line ball decision.
Now, the halftime scoreboard at Football Park shows that Central Districts are 3-8-26. The Eagles are 3-5-23. 3-point margin as we go to the goal kickers and Stephen Trigg.
Well, we didn't have any in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden we had a couple from each side. Stuart Dew got his 2. Daniel Healy got the first goal of the game. And Rhett Bigland's a couple of monstrous kicks from him. He has 2 on the board. And Gavin Colville, the vice-captain of the Eagles, has 1.
We see there, David, just the statistics up to half-time. We just see the Bulldogs. They're just 1 kick behind. Also with the handballs, there's 10 behind the Eagles. They really are controlling it well. Well, the marks are pretty even. Just shows how close this game has been. Free kicks, well, we mentioned, we see a 27% of frees have been paid so far in this game. Well, hit out, still on top is Biglands. He's doing a remarkable job. Centre breaks were 4 apiece, and also inside 50 really does tell a story. They're 33 times to the Bulldogs and only 21 times to the Eagles.
Players are out on the ground, and the second half about to get underway at Football Park, the 2000 Grand Final between Central Districts and the Eagles. Can the Bulldogs create history and take their first flag ever? Or will the Eagles create history by taking 4 flags in the one season? No side has ever done that in the history of the game. The umpires are back out, players are ready, second half underway. Stay with us. Great coverage of this year's grand final. 3-point ball game at half-time. Your commentators are Stephen Trigg and Mark Naylor.
We can hear the crowd support. We may go down quickly to Michael Parsons. Have there been any changes so far since half-time?
Yes, Mark, haven't had a chance to catch up with the bench, but Michael Manfield, who we've just had a quick word to, did hurt his arm just before half-time. They've put a guard on it, and he'll take his position back on the ground if he's required.
Well, that's good news, Stephen, for the Eagles as they go forward. Pearce just pops it out in front of Kluzak. He was pushed. Umpire calls play on. Back there is Graham. Well, he's got for one direction. He's found about 34 seagulls on the outer wing. Lands the ball amongst them. And has found the boundary lines. You see the boys take off. Fly into the air. Well, the Eagles started. They got the ball up, kicking into maybe a slight breeze. In this third term, we see Arnold. Bigland's in front. Couldn't bring it down. Floriani. Ugrinic was in there. Gowans across to his brother. Has time for a bounce, but wants to get the ball up forward quickly. Danny Holm playing from behind. Allows Jamie Tape in front. He takes a safe, uncontested mark. Now called to play on. Punches it back to where it came from. The Gowans boys are there again. The back was Colville. As we go down again to Michael Parsons with the Eagles bench.
Yeah, she's just sensationally quick for me, Mark, because after talking to the medical staff from Torrens to find out that Michael Manfield they're actually hoping it's a soft tissue injury, so it still could be a break, but he'll be there. But sitting on the bench for them at the start of this quarter is, of course, Michael Manfield, Matthew Beveridge, which is a bit of a surprise, and also sitting next to him is Floriani.
Oof, big bandage there on the forearm of Manfield.
Well, there's the grand final, Mark. He'll come back on if he's required, make no mistake about that.
Couple of minutes gone in this third term. The all-important third term, 2 points into the quarter time, 3 points into the half time. There's every reason to expect this is going to be very, very close right through to the end of the game. McArdle in the box seat does well, holds his ground. Hall had put some pressure on. I think Hall, fair to say, quite clearly has won the contest today, but McArdle, if he can get his way into the game and provide a focal point for the Bulldogs, it'll make a lot of difference to them. He goes inside 50. Within about 35 metres, the goal is spoiled down, not quite taken by Daniel Stevens. Pearce is a very good player to Mark Stevens. And Mark's intention was pretty clear. He finds the boundary line.
What a great story it is for Mark Stevens. Broke his leg in round 2. Just a lot of footy. Just came back 4 or 5 weeks ago, ready for the finals. McCarthy, who is out of sorts, missed the preliminary final with a spasm in his back during the warm-up.
Push out by Arnold. No doubt about that one. So Rhett Biggins is going to take it. Umpire calling play on? No.
Gee, I'll be interested from Michael Parsons to hear his version of the ruck contests.
It's all pretty even at the moment. Biglands, though, has obviously had an impact with those 2 goals, and he looms as the player to watch for the Eagles.
Daniel Healy's been an important player. So too has Robert Shirley for the Eagles. He kicks it towards half forward. Leading in the race for the ball was Beveridge. I thought he might have had a claim on it. He's perhaps taken the eyes off it at the last moment and had a look at the body. Holland, Jew. It's not a bad handball, but I don't reckon he saw where Biglands was. Biglands, Rogers, just still a little bit slippery out there and hard to take. Healy, and we'll have a bounce down on centre wing.
The umpire seemed to put the whistle away again, fellas. I'm thankful for that.
We couldn't actually see where that football was. Umpire Pfeiffer, he just put his arms in the air and say, well, I can't see it. See if he can knock it out. Gave him plenty of time. But then realised it was underneath the player. Biglands, it's in his direction. Well done by Bello. Just knocks it back towards Stevens, as in Daniel Stevens. But again, the crowd, they just started to get vocal again. They've realised just how close this game has been. It's 3 points. We had a thriller last year with Norwood taking it up to the Magpies. It really has been a good game this afternoon. Cicolella takes off, punches the ball up forward again. Graham, Kluzak at the back with Guerrera. Did that well. Left leg up towards forward. McArdle's in there, sitting down was Rick McGowan. Cicolella again gives it back to Hall. Hall goes out wide. Now the foot race between Steinburn and one of the quickest players around up against Ugrinik. Ugrinik takes it. Could have given the handball over the top. Comes back. Has it gone far enough with the kick? It hasn't. And Graham takes a safe mark.
Graham to the middle of the ground. Arnold was the target. The umpires found a free kick. And Damien's going to get it right from the middle of Football Park. 5 minutes gone. 3 points still the difference. 26 playing 23. The rain just holding off. It's very gloomy, but the rain is holding for the moment. Still slippery from those couple of showers we had, beautifully taken by Cicolella inside half-back. Protected the ball.
Now, where's he playing, David? He's taken a lot of possession.
He's roving, and he's playing a defensive rover, like the ruck that's dropping back defensively.
Andrew Rogers is going to get a free kick, so the umpire's continuing to wave it around. The umpire called play on and then says, no, you better take it back because there was no advantage. So Andrew Rogers from half-back is going to drive the Eagles into attack. In fact, he decides to go short. Jamie Tate, I'd put a stamp on him at the moment, as just about their best. Possession number 15 to half forward. Matthew Kluzak the target. The Graham spoil was pretty good. Well done by Pesh. Just a deft little touch on it. Goes around with the left leg. We saw him have a crack at it before with the left and miss to the head of the square. Big mark, not quite taken though by Chris Kluzak. They've got some numbers down there. So too Central work back. The cavalry arrived just in time. Kicked out. Crowell, been impressive since he came on. Watch for the little burst of speed from Andrew. Beautiful kick. Oh, it's just offline and through for behind. I thought it was going through for all the world, David.
I think he did everything right, didn't he? took the left post. The breeze was perhaps not as strong. He kept the kick low and punched it. I think if he'd have given it a bit of air, it would have drifted back on the breeze, which is what he would have anticipated.
Well, back to a 2-point ball game. The Bulldogs hanging on to that slender margin as they see Hicks clear from defence. Pushing and shoving back there with Ugrinik. The speedster and Jew should take this and run with it. He's got support inside, so out of bounds. No, it's not. Umpire calls play on. Great duel between Hall and McArdle. Sees Hall again come out on top and pushes it over the boundary line.
It's interesting though, isn't it? McArdle has clearly been instructed to run Hall up the ground and run him around, open up that defensive area. The number of times Hall has got back and just touched the ball on the line has probably cost the Bulldogs a couple of goals.
The result of all that, by the way, is that Danny Holm is one out with tape in that full forward spot. I expect at some stage Stuart Dew will end up being the player who's one out. As Central again go forward, here's McArdle, stands his ground. Three players for the Eagles put a defensive smash on it. Here's Ford though from 25 metres out and kicks another one. So the Bulldogs get a little bit of a break. 4-8 plays 3-6.
Holm created that, didn't he? Just look at him measure it up. And excitement reigns for the Bulldogs, as you'd expect. That was a big moment. The ball comes in, Holmes sits at the back, off balance, players coming at him, taps it forward, and great Shepherd. Look at the work off the ball that the Bulldogs are doing. I think that's the story of that situation. Great team goal. Ford gets it, but it was crowded by three others around him.
The blood rule's been called here on McArdle. He was the man in the seat there before, but the mistake before was too many Eagles players up. They were all committed in the contest, and the Bulldogs players had too many, had to follow the ball.
Just to mix it up's probably not a bad thing anyway for them. They'll put on a smaller player just to try and get a little bit of something different happening there. That's where McArdle hurt himself, but now all of a sudden they've got young Slade on there, and Rob Shirley will pick him up. It's not a bad matchup, but they've just got something a bit different happening.
Oh, it's hot in here. The tackling's been outstanding this afternoon. Colville's in there with Gowans. Gowans comes up with a football. Should be tackled here by Pearce. Umpire calls too high. The free kick will come back to Gowans. So James Gowans committed himself. Pearce is a little bit too high on the tackle.
Both tackles were too high, to be fair to the umpire.
Gowans spots Arnold short. Pearce stands the mark. Hopwood takes it, goes one way, gives it back to the big fella in Arnold. Arnold unleashes with a kick forward. Back there is his counterpart in Biglands, and Biglands takes the mark.
It's not a bad effort, is it? He's had 4 marks on a wet day for a big bloke, kicked a couple of goals. I take Triggy's point about tape. Oh, Rogers, rare mistake. Very rare mistake.
9.5 minutes gone, 24 playing 32. Short pass finds Damien Arnold. He hands it off, great tackle, and that's holding the ball. Pretty easy umpiring decision to make that one, and Jamie Tate, you have been a very influential player. He turns them inside out and goes to the defensive side of the ground. I reckon Paul Hamilton, the coach, will be pretty pleased with that, because that is definitely still, as the breeze goes from left to right, the defensive side. Beveridge, it's a good player, Beveridge. Works hard, good in close. He's a genuine first possession gatherer. And without pressure there, a nice, neat little kick. Higgins, smack bang on centre wing here at Football Park. He goes up just outside the 50-metre line. Biglands couldn't quite take it. Hands and knees. Pesh kept it playing up by keeping feet. Now he goes to ground. Bellows been relatively quiet for him. Shakes the tackle and then goes. Drops the clutch and really went towards half forward with some speed. Kynan Ford made a whole butcher of it. Couldn't quite take it. In the end, he's going to be wrapped up, and I reckon the umpire gave him every benefit of the doubt. And the Eagles' defence worked back very, very quickly for a bounce.
I think that's a fair enough comment. Ford gathered in. Rogers got him at the same moment. He didn't actually drag it back in.
They bounce down. Ford goes up for it with Shirley. The ball comes out wide. Out there is Rick McGowan with the tape around his head. Oh, Ford drops 2 in a row now after kicking that goal. Comes up with Danny Holm from 55, punches up towards Healy, and Rogers. Healy got hands to the ball. Second effort's great. Third effort to kick the goal is even better. The Bulldogs, the biggest margin so far in this game. 38 plays 24. A 14-point margin now to the Bulldogs. David, is that enough?
The signs are there. In these conditions, it's going to make it very difficult for the Eagles. They'll need to be at their best to come back. Rogers, after that great tackle on Ford, got back on Healy, lost his footing. The most important thing there was that Healy flew in the air, kept his footing, and Rogers lost his. It allowed Healy the opportunity to get his 10th kick and just steady things down for the Bulldogs.
5'8" to 3'6". Stuart Dew was always going to be the centre of attention, and Daniel Healy was going to be the wild card. He's the one with the real class up forward besides Dew, the one who can kick them goals, and he's got a couple so far. So now all of a sudden the Eagles have to mind him very, very carefully. Stephen Hall has gone on to Healy, working back courageously. It's a wonderful mark, one of the best of the day for Robbie Shirley. Short pass again by Tape. Didn't quite find the target. Andrew Crowell will take it across the line. Looked like it was across the line. Did it beautifully in the end. The chase was only half-hearted, but the effort from Crowell was excellent. The kick, not quite so good, goes to Damien Hicks.
They're just not giving Neiman any room, or Kluzak for that matter. The Bulldogs are working back very hard in defence, and the Eagles' use of the ball coming in has been quite poor. They've been just bombing it in, missing the target.
For the Bulldogs from defence. Chip the ball forward. Mark taken by Hicks. Hicks wants to get the ball down the line. He does that. Stephen and Ford. Ford's a little nudge out. Stevens in front. Neiman's in there. Quick handball across the Tape. Tape to Stevens. Stevens drops the footy. Marco Bello, left leg. Torpedoes are inside 50. The foot race between Hall and also Healy. That could be out of bounds on the ball. The boundary umpire's a good 45 metres away.
No, it was a deliberate. It was what the crowd was calling for as we go down to Michael Parsons.
Yes, fellas, Adam Pearce has come off for Woodville-West Torrens carrying a shoulder injury, it looks like. So the bench for Woodville-West Torrens just starting to get a little thin.
The other change that they've made is that Biglan's came off for McCarthy, and Biglan's looks like he's just carrying one. So some worrying signs as McGowan gets it forward. It's a real pressure zone now. James Gowans over the top of it, so too Chris Gowans. Pesh can't do anything with it. Over the footy, free kick. The umpire says yes. And they'll rough it up, but Central are going to have a shot at it from about 15 metres out at the 13-minute mark.
Well, you be the judge of this one. Here it is. Pesh goes it. Handballs forward. Gowans over the top. Well,
it's a tough call.
Gee, I reckon.
That's a tough call, but he's going to have a very important shot.
Well, they don't take him back, but hasn't it changed the complexion of this match?
James Gowans hits it, gets his first, and the Bulldogs now, 14 minutes into the third term, get a real break on the board.
Well, the umpire was right there, in the right position to give the right decision. You be the judge. Hall came in late. Hall comes in from the right. Gowans from the left. Here's Gowans. Gathers the ball. Gee, there's been a lot worse than that. Gowans has had 17 possessions so far. 7 kicks, 10 handballs. I don't think it can get any easier than that.
Well, the Doggies, it's been 36 years since they started in the SANFL competition. It's the third quarter, 14.5-minute mark. They lead by 20 points. They go forward again through Rick McGowan. A little kick out towards Matty Slade. Just had enough break on Darcy Holland to take the chest mark. Healy's gone to full forward. The kick up towards Marco Bello. One grab. Healy takes it. Looks to give the handball. Gowan's in there again around his body. It's up towards the top of the square. Too much pull on the kick. Across the face of goals. And out of bounds to be thrown in.
Okay, David, you're in the Eagles box. Got any little tricks to pull out?
Yeah, I'd be opening up the forward line, flooding the back line, telling the boys to play on at every opportunity. But surely, I think the Bulldogs have been magnificent today. They deserve this 20-point lead. They've been playing tough in close football like this, and they've been outgunning the Eagles in close.
It's really only the Eagles' defence that's kept them as close as they have. It's 42 times inside 50 to 24. Great smother. Here's an opportunity for that run you were talking about. Nick Peshin over the footy. Big pack of players again who will have another bounce down. So Central District, if they pull this off, having finished 7th last year, it will be the biggest single rise since 1964 when Neil Curley took South Adelaide from 8th, which was bottom to top.
Hey, don't worry, they came from 7th this year. Like round 3, they were sitting in 7th position, and we thought for all pointers that their season was going to fizzle out like it did last year. It's been a Lazarus-type performance.
Yes, the Central and Sturt were the teams, weren't they, that started so shoddily. They picked up their games. Andrew Rogers there was born the year that these two teams, or Woodville at least, and Central District came into the competition. The big question mark is whether or not it will be his last game as the central chant goes up. Andrew Rogers, there he is, takes it across the line. 16 and a half minutes gone, 44-24. 20 points in the context of this game is a fair bit.
And the emotional uplift is there, provided by the Central fans.
Oh, fellas, it's a long way to go. It is a grand final. The Eagles, they just seemed not to have numbers around the football at the moment. Pesh has taken front on, out of bounds on the full, as the boundary umpire indicates, against Nicholas Pesh. But the free kick was paid before that. There wasn't much in that. He was there to be hit. He was hit fairly by Danny Holm. As Pesh goes down the line, finds Rogers. Rogers comes in towards Dutchy Holland.
Now, this is what they need. They need Holland to start tucking the ball under his arm and running and exploding. They just
need the next goal, David.
They sure do.
It's a good kick up towards Matthew Kluzak. Been very quiet this afternoon. Ciccarello also comes down. Looks like Beveridge gives the handball across. Up towards Colville. Colville just couldn't take what he should have taken. Heath Hopwood. As cool as you like. Across to Stevens. Stevens around his body. Left leg heads up. At the back is Beveridge. Dumps the ball back. They're trying to get the ball back inside 50. They had the numbers, the Doggies, again as they go forward through Rick McGowan. McGowan up towards Gowan. And back there was Andrew Rogers.
Talk about leading from the front.
Judged it beautifully, didn't he? Here's Tate. So utterly influential today. He gets it to half forward, Floriani. Neat little take of the ball. Away he goes. Just took a little bit too long though, and the pressure meant that it went astray. Straight to a Bulldog opponent. To Damien Arnold it goes. Tate rounds him up. Not much on offer. Beautifully weighted handball. Want to be quick though with the delivery. Guerra is that. It goes inside 50. Stephen Hall is about 25 metres in front. I don't know what Daniel Healy was thinking about. He finally gets there. By then Shirley's got it. To Holland. Holland weighing up the options. Inside he reckons is the best one. To Rogers. Drop punt to half forward. It carried about 45. Beautiful leap. Not quite the take though by Graham. His recovery was pretty good. Colville. Tackling continues to be excellent from both sides. Quick kick forward. Again, the pressure means the error, and Andrew Rogers takes it, mops up and goes with the left leg. He's got something clear and decisive. It goes to Pesh.
Pesh has time now. Play loose in the middle of the ground. Is Stevens. Stevens is pounced upon by everybody in the forward lines. The second effort is sensational. Just can't get the ball out, and the umpire has no other choice other than to blow his whistle and ball up. We're about 40 metres out from the Eagles' goalpost.
That is a problem for the Eagles. Rhett Bigland sitting on the bench. They need him on the ground. And Colville, I promise you, is not well. He's lost his acceleration and his ability to turn. And I think the Eagles' bench have recognised that. The ball's coming out too easily from their forward line. And they're just going to sit him down and try a different combination.
Fourth blood rule for the day. Third for this quarter. And Adam Pearce comes back onto the ground. I agree wholeheartedly. Having Biglands, who was so wonderfully influential last week, sitting on the bench, when he got it going their way, they're missing that because Central at the moment in the middle of the ground have a real bubble, a real zeal in the middle of the deck, and they're getting plenty of ball pushed forward. And another change, Michael down there. Ricky McGowan's running up and down on the spot.
Yes, Ricky McGowan coming off as well. Blood rule, I think, but he doesn't look too bad. Not too much claret. But the Eagles, they're down to one short, I think. Adam Pearce has gone back on, but he's clearly carrying a shoulder injury.
They've got their problems then, haven't they? A real flexibility drain at the minute. The Eagles are 17-3 in the minor round, but they're looking down the barrel at the moment.
Upward to clear from defence. Puts it out in front of Stevens and also Beveridge. Well, umpire Williams from 45 metres away believes Stevens was hurled in that contest.
Well, look, you've got to say the umpiring's been terrific all year.
Well, continue.
Go on. But that is
Been good all year.
That is the softest free kick you'll ever see.
Thank you. Stevens.
Look, it's quite right. Is it just a little bit of over enthusiasm, isn't it, to pay a quick free kick?
I reckon Wayne Jackson hit it on the head. Geeshan's here, having a look at these blokes. And they've gone from being terrific umpires to, I don't know why they suddenly, today of all days, want to over-umpire. It's been unbelievably good all year.
Just out of interest, 20 free kicks for the Eagles, 17 for Central District, 37. It's a lot. About two-thirds of the way through this third term.
We haven't seen ever this season much more than 20 free kicks a game.
Neiman front position, knocks it down towards Matty Slade, and back there is Floriani, chips the ball out, Gowans has got space. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh yes!
Stewie Dew! He's done it again! That's his third! The Bulldogs, fellas! 26 points ahead.
I think you can sit back and enjoy it from now. The momentum is clearly with the Bulldogs. They've earned this lead, they've worked hard for it. Exciting players like Stewie Dew don't come along every day. 3 goals, and the way he's kicked them in the biggest day of the year is testament to his talent. The fans can sit back and enjoy this. I don't think anybody can come back from here. The Bulldogs are on fire, and they've earned every bit of it.
They're hemorrhaging at the moment, the Eagles. And Adam Pearce wants to come off the ground. He, along with Gavin Colville, 2 of their most influential players. Colville's off the deck at the moment. Well done by Mark Stevens. He'll dig in. He's got some real grit. But at the moment, their most damaging playmakers are either wounded or sitting on the bench or out of action or out of form. And at the moment, it's being thrust onto their defence to do some hard work. Spoiled forward. Shirley, here's some of that heat I was talking about. The spoil, the tackling. It remains very good from the central forward line, and now it's starting to put the Eagle defence under all sorts of pressure. Tate gets it back. I really don't think he wanted it. He goes towards the middle of the ground. He's a wonderful player, Tate, and he gets Pearce recently back onto the ground. He goes towards the far side. Ugrinik, they need a lift from him, because if he is fit, they need his pace and they need his penetration inside the forward line. Can't take it. The crowd won't holding the ball. In the meantime, Kynan Ford comes off the ground. McCardle coming back on, so Central ringing the changes also. They've got it at half back with Hereda. The Hereda kick finds Danny Stevens. They've got a spare one here with McCardle. He's come straight onto the ground and he's going to be very damaging. He takes it on centre wing. He looks up. He's got James Gowans short. Middle of the ground, he's got Bello. He's got a number of options. Slade is one of them. He takes a beauty on centre wing.
Oh, the crowd is just pushing this Bulldogs unit as hard as they possibly can. The crowd is supporting him. Danny Holm, the body. They had the numbers again, the Bulldogs. The handball across. The kick high by Guerrera. It's just gone across the face of goal again. Through for another behind. It's 7-9-51. The Eagles 3-6-24.
We just haven't got it right, the Eagles. Pearce now is coming off. Colville's coming on. And Michael, who's still holding that arm, is Adam Pearce, and that's a real problem for them. I said last week he stitched up Weatherald. He's one of their best players in the middle of the ground. You just can't have him off.
No, and Colville, you can see him just carrying that groin injury that he's had for the last few weeks. He really is struggling. And I saw Michael Stevens at centre-half back also calling for the trainer, so the injury is really taking a toll for the Eagles.
Paul Hamilton has had a wonderful debut season with the Eagles. Had some success in Tasmania as a coach. This is going to be a real test for him. There's no substitute for skill, and Stuart Dew's got plenty of it. He gives it and gets it back. He and James Gowans and Chris Gowans have worked wonderfully well in the middle of the ground. The leadership from Holm's been terrific. 27 points the difference, and there's all sorts of bother at the moment for the Eagles as Holm has it. 55 metres out. He'll take some time. Umpire now waves his arms and says play on. He pumps it long and hard right up to the square. Tapes there. Foot to the ball, goes through for behind.
4 goals 1. Centrals have kicked this term. Make that 4 goals 2 with that rush behind. The Eagles have only added 1 point, and if the third quarter is the premiership quarter, well, it might be just a little early to count it for the Bulldogs, but they're certainly on line for their first ever premiership.
You just wouldn't want to be sitting home this afternoon. You'd had to be here. The Bulldogs. Oh, Healy's hit by Tape.
It was a good shepherd. It was a good shepherd.
Still hit. Rogers. The handball's blocked by Gowans. Sikalala across to Pesh. Pesh gives it back. They run again hard through Shirley. Shirley down the line towards Matthew Kluzak. He has to get involved. He has to take those marks. The Eagles are going to get back in this game. This time Kluzak. They're under extreme pressure, the Eagles players. Stevens, who's been outstanding. Right. Handballs the ball forward towards Crow. Crow can't pick it up. The Doggies are back there again. Little kick across. Colville spoils from behind. Down there is Matty Slade. Goes for the boundary line. Crowd's in there again. He has time. The kick over the top. Who's at the back? Geister. Little push. Couldn't take the grab. McCartney's in there hard. The ball spills loose. In there is Christopher Kluzak sitting over the top of a Raider. And a Raider somehow has found a free kick. And wants to get it moving quickly.
It was very lucky because the ball got dragged in underneath. And Central are lucky the umpire saw it that way. Guerra enough time, unashamedly goes towards the boundary line. It's not going to make it though. Crowell's made a difference and Geister sees it to the line.
Geister, fellas, has been terrific. Kluzak hasn't had a sniff of the ball this afternoon. Chris Kluzak was always going to loom as a danger, and Guerra out of the back pocket has really just grabbed every ball that's come his way, hit the target as it's coming out, and has been influential.
Well, the players stopped. They thought they heard a whistle. They turned around in amazement that the umpire called play on. Floriani tackled well by Slade. Cicalella's there, the knock on. Back to Rogers. He's trying everything for his jumper. It's high ball. McCartney has come out hard across the pack. Looks like Ugrinic. In fact, it was Crow, couldn't take it. Back there was Graham, kicks the ball high. And a mark again. He's plucked it out of there. Matty Slade has taken a couple of absolute rippers in this third quarter.
Well, he's been terrific. He's just running on emotion, plenty of adrenaline. And there wasn't a certainty that he was in this side, but hasn't he made the most of his opportunities?
Well, he ran around the ageing Andrew Rogers like he was standing still. They're under some pressure now. Healy usually uses it pretty well. We reckon that David Neiman's on about, 5 of 6 cylinders. He can't go much either, but he gets this one and then kicks it towards the interchange. I reckon that was exactly the target, by the way, was to go straight to the interchange. 2 players arrive late, and it goes across the boundary line. It will suit Central. Score check, 7-10 to 3-6. We're well into time on of this third quarter, and if the Eagles are going to get out of this, it's going to take something really special.
Well, I think Central have got their focus. They've tasted defeat. There's 3 players in this side that have been involved in grand finals previously, but for the rest, they haven't had a taste of victory or defeat.
Beveridge breaks. The Slade tackle, then goes towards centre half forward. They need a mark here. It's come towards Crow. Crow's got Pesh out wide. Goes in the other direction towards Colville and also Ugrinic. But Colville takes it. I just believe with the groin at the moment, David, it's a little bit too far for Gavin Colville, also kicking into the breeze.
Look, he hasn't got any power in his legs. His acceleration hasn't been what it is. I'm not sure that he's travelled the distance in a game that he normally goes, and certainly his ability to move sideways has been inhibited as well. So great courage to be out there today giving his best, but he's clearly physically not 100%.
The tape over the left eye, the concentration on the eyes of Gavin Colville. And the Eagles just can't take a trick at the moment. I might go down to Michael Parsons. Biglands, where is he? They need him out there.
He's back out there, Mark, but it's Neiman that's hooked up another injury for the Eagles now. He's just walking around the boundary line. Looks like he's just tweaked his knee.
Well, haven't they got some problems? They've got a couple of ruckmen who just don't seem to be quite right. They've got a couple of influential midfields that don't seem to be right. And they've now got the biggest 30 minutes of their lives in front of them because Central District have the break. 7-10 to 3-6. And if they get out of this a 28-point margin at three-quarter time, it'll be one of the really big wins because they've been 8 ball for the duration of the 2000 grand final.
I think you've hit it on the head. The Bulldogs are playing with much more passion and emotion. Take out Tate, Holland, Hall and Rogers out of this side, and the Eagles are struggling. Their forward line hasn't functioned at all today, but give great credit where it's due to the Bulldog defence. They've just been sensational. Geister in particular, Guerra's been good. Hopwood started slowly but has really warmed to it. Quinton Graham has just run and been hard in attacking. And on every line, defensively, the Bulldogs are just making the Eagles earn every kick. Holmes gone to full forward, one out. McArdle's roaming free and wide. Forward, they've taken the Eagles at their own game plan. Forward's running hard, and they've opened up the forward line, and it is really working for them. The Eagles will need to be better than probably anyone could give them credit for to get back from here.
Well, the Eagles on screen now. The minor round premiers, they had 17 wins and 3 losses. They went into the final series, the raging favourite, but Central District have been gritty and they've worked their way to a position where the Eagles now have to kick 5 unanswered goals to get themselves in front. Stay with us for the last quarter. This is a wonderful game of footy, and Central District, are they poised? The big question, are they poised for their first ever grand final? We'll find out in just a moment on the sporting version of ABC.
28 points the margin at three-quarter time, and truly, Tricky, I think the coaching in this game has been terrific. Peter Jonas has really got his matchups pretty well, and Paul Hamilton's done a good job, but players aren't responding.
It's been a very large game of chess. I think, to be fair to Paul, he's probably got fewer pieces left on the board. Some of them have been knocked over and blown away by the wind, or whatever analogy you want to use. He's got less flexibility in his hands at the moment, and I think Peter Jonas is in the driving seat.
I think he is, but coaches can make or break you in a grand final. Injuries certainly are a factor, and a portion of luck. Umpiring comes into it on a couple of occasions, but the Bulldogs have made the most of their opportunities.
Well, we've made some comment about the umpires, but I don't think it's had any influence on the game. We've just been a little frustrated by the over-umpiring, but Central have earned their stripes, and we went into the game saying that Stuart Dew, the influential power midfielder, was going to be one of the differences, and at the moment, he is the difference with 3 goals.
And Healy, the bogeyman.
Well, I think he was probably the wild card, because a lot of the attention was going to be on Stuart Dew after his 5 in the second semi, and Daniel Healy's a class act, and I think that he was probably, well, he's not a decoy, but he's always going to be the one who bobbed up.
Well, at three-quarter time here at Football Park in the 2000 grand final. Central's are 7 goals 10. They kicked 4 goals 2 that term. The Eagles only added 1 point to trail by 28 points at three-quarter time.
And goal scorers, we talked about Dew. He has his 3. And Healy has the couple, as David said. Very influential as well, the deputy vice-captain. On the other side, it's a sick and sorry sight for Eagle supporters. Such expectation going into this game. Bigland's had a couple in that second quarter. Colville's, well, he's not noticeably limping, but we know that he's wounded. He's got a goal, but they are really struggling to get it inside 50, much less score.
Mark Daly, when you look at the stats and you look at the inside 50, again, Central District really are just taking a commanding position.
Yes, Dave, we see there 19 more times inside 50. That really has been the difference this afternoon, and also their goal kickers. They've kicked goals when they've had their opportunities, but we see their kicks and handballs really has been quite close. Marks, well, the Eagles are on top, so they've had more possessions, the Eagles, just haven't used the ball as well as the Bulldogs have this afternoon. Free kicks, well, for some reason we've got 38 free kicks up to three-quarter time. That amazes me. Hit outs, well, Biglands and also Arnold have done a bulk of the work, also with Neiman for the Eagles as well, has been out there trying very, very hard. Centre square breaks, well, that's been pretty even. 6 apiece, David.
No doubt about that. Well, I thought one of the great moments in this game was when Kynan Ford goaled, and you could just sense the Central District fans, Stephen, really got behind their team and took off.
It really added to the bubble, didn't it, in the middle of the ground that Central District were able to create. They'd worked so very hard, and then all of a sudden just lifted with that enthusiasm. And Kynan Ford has been more a workhorse than a brilliant player through the year. This occasion got himself straight and kicked it from about 30, and you can just hear the crowd lift them. I think by and large the crowd is, well, it's not full of Central District supporters, but there's certainly more of them than the opposition.
Oh, no doubt. We talked about how the Eagles play Manfield and McCarthy across half forward, running around creating space for Kluzek to run into. I thought McCardle and Kynan Ford have done that beautifully for Central District.
Well, Manfield, by the way, is another one of the wounded brigade, and John McCarthy's done next to nothing, so they'd be very disappointed with that. But you're quite right, Central District up forward, they've been very good. They've had Dew, they've had Ford, and they've also had Healy. Now, Healy, with that goal of his, we said about the Ford uprising and how they lifted. I thought that Healy's goal, the snap around the body, was one that really got them going in terms of their enthusiasm.
Well, here it is.
Got it off hands, having really gone the contest himself, and from that point in time, having had a play on it, nobody, I know it's an overused term, but the front and the square, nobody there was able to get a play on it himself. And he's a skillful player and managed to finish it off.
The other thing, Andrew Rogers had to get back. He applied a tackle at half-back, and he had to get back very quickly. I think when he got there, he just had no petrol left, lost his footing.
I did make the comment, David, during the term that there's no substitute for skill.
Yep.
And Stuart Dew, we've seen him do it many times at AFL level and at SANFL level. And he's kicked from right on 50, maybe just beyond, when he had some pressure coming from the right side, again gave them a lift. But more importantly, it gave them a goal that gave them, well, just that little extra break.
He's 55 out, he's gone sideways, half a metre, and launched into the kick. There's very few players that I know have got that power and that ability.
Well, I was going to say you'd be tempted to say it's raw power, but he's a very, very skillful player. And genuinely, at the AFL level, there's not too many that kick it straighter.
Well, I think the Eagles are in a fair amount of trouble. They're down by 28 points at three-quarter time. Paul Hamilton, I guess, has got a lot of work in front of him as we go down to the Eagles huddle and Michael Parsons.
Yeah, thanks, David. But I guess the injuries of the story, the Eagles huddle, spent a little bit of time talking to the medical staff there. Neiman, Biglands, Manfield, Pearce and Colville, all less than 100% fit. But Manfield's probably the only player that is totally incapable of coming back on with that arm injury. But pretty good tactic coming out from Paul Hamilton. He's going to push all his forwards forward, create that space at the back, and hopefully with the wind and the slippery conditions, they can just get a couple of goals on the board from a long way out. So that's the tactic from the Eagles. Peter Jonas, on the other hand, he's calm and he's almost got a smile on his face too. But still a lot of intensity in the Eagles huddle. They are not going to let this one slip away. They spent a lot of time working on their matchups, and the players, they're pumped. They really want that first bit of silverware in the trophy cabinet out at Doggy Lodge.
Thanks, Michael, for that. Big crowd here at Football Park, and certainly a big Central District base. They're 28 points up at three-quarter time, and if you're thinking about staying with us for the fourth quarter, I think you'll see history in the making. The Bulldogs have never won a flag. They came into the competition in 1964. Heartbreakingly, they lost the 95 and the 96, and a lot of people thought they might never win one. Well, they're in a commanding position now as we go back to the players. Paul Hamilton coming off the field. One last throw of the dice for him, but can they stop Mark, the Central District juggernaut?
Oh, just wait till the siren sounds, David. The roar from the Bulldog supporters. They are outnumbered, the Eagle supporters here at Football Park this afternoon. Their beloved Doggies. They're here, the red, white and blue jumpers, scarves, beanies, the face paint is out in force. The umpire, Richard Williams, stands, holds the ball aloft. The final quarter of SANFL football. You're watching it commercial-free on your ABC. Between the Bulldogs and the Eagles, the ball's down. The Eagles need to start well. Over the top is Radley Moller. Just holds up Crow. Umpire in again very quickly. Again, start proceedings. Colville with Bello. Biglan's from the behind. Down to Beveridge. Beveridge can't get away from the pack situation. In there again is Moller over the top. Well, will they go defensive or will they attack the Bulldogs?
I think they have no choice but to attack, but I'm interested in what the Eagles are doing. They've decided to put Colville and Beveridge into the middle of the ground. They've got Biglan's there as well, so despite a couple of players there just carrying a couple of niggling injuries, they've decided to go with their experience and their most productive players. Time will tell whether it's a good option or not. Crowell has been good, so too has McGowan. The umpire doesn't get drawn into that one. Hopwood got it from James Gowans, goes towards the right side of the half-forward flank. McCarthy seems to have gone to a defensive position, has he?
He has. He's gone to half-back.
Centre-half-back. I think Stevens has gone virtually centre-half forward.
McCarthy off. Arnold off. And we'll pick up the other player in just a moment. But at the moment...
Daniel Stevens inclining forward, sitting alongside Arnold there.
Boundary throw-in. Chris Gowans, Rick McGowan. Throwing Chris Gowans there somewhere, and it's a treble, isn't it? Forward it goes. Holm. Shirley. Again looking for the boundary line. Stephen Hall takes it. They want to be direct, and they want to be very quick about it this term. Goes over the head of Floriani. Working back is Cicolella. Matthew Kluzek will provide the support in terms of the shepherd. It goes right up towards the half-forward line, the boundary line. It goes over in front of Damien Hicks, and Damien Hicks, one of just 5 players who played in the 96 grand final that have some bitter memories and some real motivation now to get the job done this afternoon.
And I think there's only Rick McGowan, Damien Arnold and Brian Hereda who have played in the 95 and the 96 grand final. Scotty Lee, fellas, you've really got to think about him right now, don't you?
Well, David, you have to. As Pesh comes up with the football again, just stabs at it. It's a high ball. What do you do with Christopher Kluzak, David? Has yet to touch the football this afternoon.
Well, I think he's just got to get out on a lead, and they've got to play the corridor. He's going to the corridor, but the ball's not going there, or if it is, the Bulldogs are back. They've certainly been very well coached, and they've followed their coach's instructions, the Bulldogs, today. They've blocked the Eagles' corridor of power.
Crow from 52, punches it up.
Oh!
Was it touched? I don't think it was. It's the first goal of the Eagles in this last quarter. We've played 3 minutes. It's the first goal to Crow.
If they were going to win it, they needed the first goal. Would that be right?
Absolutely. I think if Centrals had got the first goal, it just would have been a procession. Stevens, well, it was a funny old handball. Crowell is deceptively quick for a big fella. 55 out. Powerful kick. And Hopwood, who's been probably, along with Tate, the premier defender in the competition, just missed it, misjudged the strength of the breeze, I think. I think he thought he had it covered. And then when it got there, it just drifted that 3 or 4 centimetres too far. He had it covered here, and then it drifts and he misses it, and he knows it's a huge error.
Well, the tackle's been applied. Players over the top of the football. Ugrinnik. Steinberner's there as well. Ball be put down. It's Bigland's up against Moller again. Moller thumps the ball towards Marco Bello. Back there as Rogers goes one way, gives it across to Jamie Tate. In fact, it was Shirley. Shirley handballs the ball further afield. Players still slipping over. The quick kick forward. The running Raider. With him is Stevens out in front, knocks the ball inboard. Floriani across to Colville. Colville chips it up. Who's back there? It's Graham. Just chips in.
You see what I mean, Mark? There's no doubt Kluzak was in the right position. The ball was coming in, but the discipline of Graham to get back, put his body on the line. But I just reckon perhaps Kluzak's got to clean up one or two of them as they're coming back at him and just put a second thought in their mind, which he hasn't done so far. And Geist has done a great job on him.
Well, that's the goal they needed. Colville was 45 metres out. He should have hit to the top of the square at least. Put some pressure on the scoreboard. Goals like that, fellas, can lift you. Rogers over the top with Slade. Great effort by Slade. Tries to get the ball out. They sit above it. The umpire now makes a decision against Matthew Slade. Sat upon it. Goes against him. Dutchy Holland comes across again. Shirley heads towards centre half forward. Stevens is back there. Oh, the backwards crowd. Floriani just needed to pick the football up. Tries to give the handball across to Matthew Kluzak. Matthew Kluzak couldn't get it either. He tries to pump his teammates up. Come on, we're still in this. We're only 3.5 goals down. Still plenty of time on side, and we're kicking with the breeze.
Well, the Eagles at their best, fellas, could still get there. Let's not write them off. We've been remarking how good Central District have been. The Eagles have been in this position 2 or 3 times throughout the year and have still got up and won.
Well, they're at it again. What's the umpire giving here? A free kick against the Doggies. It comes back to Floriani.
You can just feel the pain and the blood rule enforced.
Well, they've run out of tape to put around Rick McGowan's chin and forehead, or the back of his head at least, as you can see there. He'll have to come off again. This might be coming from his mouth and not his chin. Well, Floriani, is he too far out?
Well, he's got the breeze at his back, and while he's got an ungainly kicking style, he is very, very effective. Generally, the ball goes where he wants it. He's going to need a little bit of the left post, and the breeze will drag it back in. He's had 19 possessions, Floriani. You talk about players you'd want in a grand final. There's nothing fancy about this fellow. But like his dad, Aldo, who played exactly the same brand of courageous, tough football, you'd want them there in the trenches when it's getting dirty.
So Floriani, this would make a game of football. Grand final year 2000, the kick to the top of the square. Kluzak!
He's got it.
He's grabbed one.
Now, if he puts this through, they go to 16 points down. They're currently trailing by 22. And Kluzak, we saw him in the finals just overstepping. He just seemed to come in too quick and overstep his kick. They've been working on that the last week, just working on the action, making sure that it's right.
Well, it's 22 points. They're back in this. The Doggies 16-point margin. Now favours the Doggies, the Eagles, fellas. Their tails, their feathers, they're flying. We have a game of football on our hand.
One mark, one kick, and a goal for the game. Now Geister has completely blanketed him. And now at the most unlikely of times, Kluzak takes a remarkable mark and goes back and puts it through. Suddenly the Eagle fans find a little bit of voice and a little shiver goes up the Bulldog spine.
It wasn't around in '94. We saw the Eagles dominate. And then a bloke called Scott Hodges exploded. I wonder if Chris Kluzak can do exactly the same thing and do a number on Central. They have all that thing called momentum at the moment. Beautifully done by Ugrinnik. He's a perfect wingman because he puts himself in the right place. He goes too far for Nick Pesh. Quiet day for him and across the line, out of bounds. 8 minutes gone, 7-10 to 5-6.
You're right about Pesh, fellas. He just hasn't enjoyed the best day. 10 possessions for him, but I think Guerra has really taken the honours there.
Jack Odie medal's been awarded since 1981. It's going to be a heck of a task today because it's been a very even performance by Central. And a couple of Eagles who have been the better ones, like Tate and Beveridge, Rogers, Mark Stevens. have all been very even, but at the moment...
And Crowell's made a real impact since he came on.
It has indeed. At the moment, there's still 20 minutes of play in the grand final left. The Eagles making a last-ditch effort. 7-10 to 5-6, 16 points of difference. We said at three-quarter time it was 5 kicks, 5 unanswered goals. They've got it back to 3.
Colville, the lift needs to come from him. Was taken there by Radley Moller. Crowell, who's been very good for the Eagles since half-time, runs over towards the contest. Up forward is Stevens and Christopher Kluzak again, the thump forward. They have numbers around the ball. Sikalala around his body. Matthew Kluzak comes in and takes the mark. Umpire calls play on. It was touched off the boot. Or was it? Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this?
It was touched off the boot, Mark. Richard Williams called play on early, but now he'll bounce it down.
Kluzak didn't hear it, but Richard Williams did call it very early.
Bounce down. The thump forward, Pesha's there, takes it, comes back for support across. Higgins can't break the tackle. The ball spills free from Gowans. In there again, Higgins. A little kick up forward. Back there is Steinburner. And Steinburner takes it, plays on quickly.
The options weren't that good because 2 Eagle players were onto 1 Central player back in towards the pressure zone. Off hands, they're really under some pressure now. Central, around the body goes Sikalala, so influential in that preliminary final. Can't quite get it around the body. Smothered. Damien Hicks, quick kick forward. They're really under some heat, and the free kick will go back to Damien inside the defensive 50-metre zone. Still 16 points of difference. Damien Hicks has done his job today. Relatively unobtrusive in terms of his own game. 10 possessions, that's number 11. Has a look at Moller.
Gowans is injured, or Gowans is cramped. We may get Michael Parsons in a minute to give us an update, but he is coming off.
I thought you were going to say get me to give him a rub, but he is coming off and McArdle's coming on.
Well, it just looks like cramp from here.
It's been terrific, Chris Gowans too. He's found plenty of the ball, along with his brother, 2 of the most influential players setting up this lead for Central. Crowd of 34,819 fellas, almost 35,000, a pretty good crowd.
It's a really good crowd when you consider that the rain has been belting down the last couple of days. Danny Holmoff. Rick McGowan on, and McGowan's going to be the beneficiary of that. No, he's not, because Beveridge read it absolutely superbly. Sees it to the line and will have another boundary throw in. Still 16 points of difference. The Eagles just trying to build something.
Oh dear, another goal by the Eagles, David. We've got a game on our hands. They are pumped. They're running on empty. But great courage by both teams this afternoon. Such a hot pace early. Just couldn't be maintained. Now it gets back to the side that wants the ball badly enough. He wants to commit hard enough. He wants to win their grand final this year. Will come out on top. The thump down. Comes towards Bello. Couldn't take it. And held without the ball. Now again, silly umpiring. We've mentioned enough about that this afternoon. Bellows kick up towards forward. He misses the mark. A knock on Beveridge at ground level was extremely good. Plenty of pushing and shoving. Eventually, umpire blows his whistle.
Time running out now for the Eagles. They're 16 points down. We're almost 13 minutes into the final quarter.
Plenty of time, David, plenty of time.
But it's interesting, Peter Jonas, I think he's worked on his matchups pretty well. He's used his bench pretty well, and I think Stephen Trigg said it all. Paul Hamilton is running out of options. He's got so many injuries, he's plugging so many holes, but they are still in the contest.
Courageous effort, isn't it? Because they have been really put off balance. Sikalala, they really need him because he's one of the few fit ones that they've got. Crowell, I agree wholeheartedly. I think he's been a real contributor, giving them some fizz in the middle of the ground. And Colville sees himself with another bounce down. So Central just starting to try and close it down. They sense the danger and they've worked a bit harder. They've gone the surge as well, and they've just slowed it, blocked it, tried to cease that run that the Eagles were building up. 13 and a half minutes gone.
You just got a shot there of Steinburner, by the way, who has thrashed Ugrinik today. has beaten him pointless. And when you're thinking about Jack Odie medalists, I guess it's going to come from half a dozen players at this point if Central win. James Gowans has been terrific, Guerra's been terrific, Steinberg has been unbelievable, Healy, Dew, Chris Gowans, McGowan, Geist has been good all around the ground. Central have got some very good players.
Down, Colville over the top of the football, couldn't break a tackle again from Gowans, and also Marco Bello. 52 plays 36, we're 14 minutes mark into the grand final for season 2000. Bounce down, it'll be Biglands up against Arnold. The ball's down, favours Colville, favours Gowans this time. He comes up with it, left leg, up towards Rogers. Can he get there? At the back is Healy. Both players just quite content to see the ball over the boundary line.
Rogers, fellas, would have to be a contender. If the Eagles got up and stole this, he'd have to be a contender for the Jack Odie medal, along with perhaps Crowell and Jamie Tate. We've already mentioned those three players have been the standout Eagles players.
I've certainly liked Tape's game. Has held them up time and time again. When the flood was starting to become unmanageable, he was the one who held firm. He was the one who's provided the hardness and the run.
Well, what about this? Here comes the Central chant, Triggy, and this is a powerful force. The supporters really are just driving home their team. It means so much to them, and you can just sense it from the crowd.
And it will help the team, by the way. Their banner, when they ran out, read something like "Go the Growl." Well, they've gone the Growl okay. Right from scratch in this game. They've been in it and at it. Distribution's been pretty good. We thought some skill errors early, but the further it's gone, the better they've become. James Gowans, very, very good player today. And again, a boundary thrown. So Central District, their motivation pretty clear at the moment. Stop it, block it, shut it down. Just make it a scrap.
James Gowans, fellas, it was the catalyst. You know, I always think about players who really set it up and put themselves on the line.
This just hard, tough, desperate football at the last 3.5, 4 minutes.
This is where it's hard for the Eagles, Mark, because they've spent a penny. They've had dismantled flexibility. And to try and break free of Central now, who are just going man for man, blocking it up, it's going to take something remarkable.
The thump needs to come from Biglands. It wasn't there. Smother off the boot. Hugh Greenwich's over the top, but needs to give the handball in tight. He does. A chance. Pesh has got it. Kicks the ball up towards Christopher Kluzek at the back. Where's the energy from Colville? It's not there. Hopwood's there first. Kicks the ball on the outer wing. The foot race is on. Stevens, the speedster, heads towards it. He'll get there before Colville. The kick comes back inside. Higgins, a knock on. Again, the Bulldogs have to lose players on the outer side. Arnold takes it. Gets the kick up. Heads towards the boundary line. Back there. So McCartney couldn't take it. Needs to push it over the line now. He eventually does. Oh, some moments there for the Bulldog supporters. Watching their side go forward once again.
The Eagles have had 23 more possessions than the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are just using it so well, and they have manned up. Stephen Trigg told you that just a moment ago. They're going man on man and making sure that the Eagles don't get a quick 3 goals that could steal an improbable victory.
It's probably an obvious thing to say, but the Eagles need one in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Otherwise, they'll start to believe themselves that they can't get it. Forward goes Central across the line. Dew wants a free kick, not coming. 17 and a bit minutes gone. 52 plays 36, and it has been that for a while now. At the 22-minute mark of the second term, the Eagles hit the front for the first time. They didn't have it for very long. Central wrested it back about 5 minutes later. And since then, they've careered away. They had a wonderful third term. And if they can get up, they can hold on here and they can get up. Coach Peter Jonas, and they're going to probably have another ping at it here with Daniel Healy.
He said that Rogers threw it out the back door, tunnel balled it in a throwing action.
It's costly.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it?
Daniel Healy has 2. 1 in the second, 1 in the third. He's on the correct side. That breeze has probably maintained its 2-3 goal sort of fluttering across Football Park. But I don't think that's going to make much difference to him from where he kicks. Very deliberate. Could this seal a premiership for the Bulldogs? Their first ever. What a significant moment. Healy has a look and kicks it. Central District have just about got it, I reckon, the 2000 grand final. They go to 8-10. The Eagles are 5-6 and they're crippled. They're in real trouble, the Eagles now.
Just about got it. I think that's it. The fans go up as one. Healy gets it. Now the skipper's just scooped it out the back door, and the umpire's called it a throw. Healy gets a goal. The Redcoats come out. and the Central fans ignite as one. I think after 36 years in the competition, 2 heartbreaks in 95 and 96, they're going to get one, and it will be a hot time in the old town tonight.
Bounce down, Biglands puts it down. Trying to get the ball out there was Higgins, couldn't take it. It was tackled aggressively as he put boot the ball. The flares are going down here at the northern end. The Bulldogs, they believe they have this game. The umpires just wait. Players going down with cramp everywhere.
Well, there's some flares gone off behind the northern goals.
Well, it's a bit silly, really, because their team is probably inconvenienced by that. They're on a bit of a roll. They're lifted by a goal. And we'll have a delay at the 19.5-minute mark. The Eagles will compose themselves. But unless they can pull out something remarkable, as you said, there's going to be one very serious party, and everyone north of Jepps Cross is invited to Goodman Road, Elizabeth, tonight. They're going to have a wow of a time.
Peter Jonas has done a wonderful job, and you said it at the opening of the program. Under pressure last year with their performance finishing at 7th, he's recruited beautifully this year. James Gowans, Chris Gowans, brought Daniel Healy back, and I think you'll find that along with Michael Stevens, Daniel Stevens, it's been the mix that the Bulldogs have needed in their midfield.
The Bulldogs will go forward again through Hicks. The kick up. Who's back there? McCarthy. Ford takes it. Tries to knock it clear as he tackled out the ball. The umpire calls play on. Matty Slater across to Marco Bello. Bello! Bello! Oh, an anticlimax. It's another behind.
3 points to Marco Bello today. But he's found plenty of the ball. He's been productive, and he's worked so very hard.
That certainly would have finished them off, not to be. Quick work in close. Slade. Damien Hicks.
Loose.
Around the body he goes.
Oh,
he's made a mess of it. Not his best game today from Danny Stevens. It goes forward. There's just some real danger signs, but Tape's been wonderful today. Belts it towards the line and out of the danger zone. We'll have another change. Kynan Ford coming off. Danny Holm coming on. I suspect, Michael, there's a bit of a buzz just near you on the central bench.
Yes, there's a few Central supporters over the other side of the fence starting to get the smile on their face. Confidence that there'll be a party tonight at Elizabeth.
Crow. Ball's clear. Boot the ball like McArdle's back in the goal square again. But Pesh has worked back. Just paddles the ball through. 11:59. A 23-point margin.
I think it's safe to say the Bulldogs have won this one. What a great moment. Congratulations to the club. But who's the Jack Odie medalist? Is it James Gowans, Brent Guerra, Nathan Steinburner?
James Gowans for me.
Yeah, James Gowans would get my nod too, fellas. Doesn't detract from the others, but really he has been the catalyst.
Beveridge has been very good too for the Eagles. He goes inside the forward 50. Kluzek beautifully spoiled down. Herrera's there. The tackling continues to be very good. Off the ground, the boundary line's the order of the day now for Central. Ricky McGowan might be a bit of a smoky for that Jack Odie medal, by the way. He was so very, very good early. 10 possessions in the first quarter. Bello, won't he have a good time before he heads off to London and crunches some numbers over there. Bello, left side, goes towards the boundary line, and that's very, very obvious, Marco, but it's still okay. It's travelled 50 metres and away from the danger.
Went exactly where he wanted it to. No option. Took the option to the boundary line. And you look at who they might lose, there's not a great deal that they'll lose, Central District. They could be a power for another 3 or 4 years. Similarly, the Eagles, to be fair.
Throw in again, Biglands is there, knocks the ball down. Back there was Crow trying to take it. McCartney's in there as well. Hicks, Crow comes up with a Pesh, running on empty. McGowan handballs it out over the top. Rogers got nothing left as well. Guerrero takes it, goes to the ground with the football, comes up, tries to get the handball out. Crowell again's over the top of the ball. Oh, the appreciation from the supporters. You can hear them in the background. The Doggies. Are they home? David Mackay believes so. We're 23 minutes into this final term. There'll be about 5 minutes left. They need a couple of quick goals, the Eagles, to give themselves a chance.
It's funny, isn't it, how the second semi-finalist, as a winner, continues to have the edge or the box seat in terms of the grand final. That week's break, if you've had a pretty good campaign, just makes the difference. Geister, James Gowans back there. And another boundary line throw in. It's all very obvious as Hopwood goes for it. It wastes some time. Chris Gowan's coming on for Bello. Time to celebrate though for Central District. 36 very long years, Michael. It's a long time without. And three grand final appearances now in the last 6 years. The club is in pretty good shape. Pesh has a crack at it. Can't quite take it. And Geister, as I mentioned just a moment ago, very impressive. 24 points the difference. 24 minutes gone. And 55 entries to the Bulldogs to 41 for the Eagles. Just an edge there, despite giving away some possessions in terms of volume. Hopwood gets it at half-back. As he looks up, there's not really any options. They've stopped running the Bulldogs. They're starting to celebrate, I think, but it is in the bag.
I guess he's one who's going to go to the AFL next year, Hopwood. Along with Tate, probably the best two defenders in this competition. And Steinberger, what a wonderful story that's been. Coming back from appendix operation to play in a winning grand final.
Well, McCartney, he takes it. He's got Biglands in the middle of the ground. The kick hasn't carried. Will it sit for Biglands? It does. He's got Floriani over the top. That's the direction he goes. Flora takes it. Wants to get back. Wants to get the ball in quickly. He's got Kluzak out wide. Christopher Kluzak also gives the lead. He has to sit here. He's up far too early. The back is Pesh. What's he got left? Not much. He's carried through with Stevens for another rush behind.
Beautifully defended by Michael Stevens, wasn't it? Just corralled Pesh, made sure that he couldn't go too far. Weir, I've been very impressed with today. His kick-outs have been very good, used the ball very well. In fact, their entire defence for the Bulldogs has been terrific. So too's the Eagles, but the Eagles just haven't had a forward line functioning at all.
Hopwood, the last line of defence, pushed it up towards Arnold. The spoil came from behind. Coming in hard was Gowans. The release now comes back to Matthew Kluzak. Puts it back up towards Beveridge. Quinton Graham had two grabs at the football. Couldn't bring it to ground. Back there again is Stevens. And really time's starting to tick away. 26 minutes is gone.
Peter Jonas can taste this, Mark, in his coaching box. And there he is. Daryl Hicks behind him. You can just sense Hicksy would be proud to take his place in history. He had a chance when he was coach of the Bulldogs, but couldn't quite get them there. And Alan Stewart, give a thought for him, who coached them in 95 and 96, and really they were the best team in the competition for sure through that period.
You talk to supporters and also administrators. Alan Stewart changed the culture and the structure of the club. But also, there's one bloke there, general manager, who no doubt would have a very big smile on his face. He's been there for a long time. Would have to be in the vicinity of around about 20-odd years.
I sat next to him on a plane, Mark, when he came back from Melbourne, and he just secured, big fly Kluzak, and James Gowans, Jack Odie medalist for mine, holds the ball to the crowd. That is a wonderful performance from that man. Now, whether they select him or not's another matter. But Chris Grant had the two Gowans boys in the bag and signed when I sat next to him on that plane, and he just said it might make the difference, and I think he's been proved to be dead right.
Well, there's a lot of clubs chasing those two boys before pre-season. Chris Grant and the Centrals boys, they got them, and gee, they've been very good throughout this season. Hereda, another player also.
200 games to Hereda, a big moment for him.
Well, they haven't stopped trying. The Eagles are still putting in. The ball's pushed out, and there it is, David.
The Thomas Seymour Hill Trophy. That's what the Bulldogs will take home to Elizabeth. That's what no other Central District side in history has been able to do. This team are history makers. And they will go down as immortals north of Jepps Cross.
Well, I was worried about the Bulldogs going into the finals. Their form wasn't that good, but gee, their finals campaign has been outstanding. The week's rest last week, after winning the second semi-final, was just enough. Floriani around his body, kicks up. McGowan.
Oh, yes, you'd allow him that, wouldn't you? A little bit of Lairising. They know that they're home. They're 28 and a half minutes gone, and they're 21 points up. just washing time off the clock, enjoying the atmosphere of a big central crowd chanting.
Another player also that's down there. You think of Gary Window, you think of old Normie Russell. He was there from day one with the club. Played, professionally, been in every position. A chairman of selectors, he's been administrator of the club, a life member of the league. To Norm, this is for you this afternoon. No doubt you'll have a cold beer tonight to celebrate. Well, the players are still going at it. There's a fight on behind play. A bit of frustration now from the Eagles players.
Look at them. Look at the Central fans.
Only be seconds. Can only be seconds left in this game. We're 29, nearly 29 and a half minute mark, 60 points to the Central side. The Eagles are on 39.
Jack Odie medalists would come from Gowans, Guerra, Steinburner, Healy, Jew, Chris Gowans, or McGowan. Any one of those players would be a fitting winner for sure. They've had some great players. This fellow, wouldn't it be fitting for him, who's toiled so hard? Daniel Holm, who came up from Tasmania, and
well, they're all down there, David. They're all down there. They're on their feet. The camp on the southern side here of Football Park. The red, white and blue Wind Cheetahs. They really will party tonight in Bulldog land. The mark again, Healy.
What about the story of Healy, you know, playing in the reserves for St Kilda, wins the medal for the best and fairest in the competition, recruited back this year and plays in a winning grand final. That's the stuff that fairy tales are made of, and St Kilda have gone nowhere this year.
Well, Healy, this will be the virtually last kick in the game. Up high, McArdle over the back, a quick handball across. He's got the pace, the Lager, check side, has hit the post. That really would have had the fans over the fence if Nathan Steinburner could have kicked that. Well, there they are. Marco Bello, I love him this year. He's been very, very, very good.
Best and fairest last year, Marco Bello. Ball,
siren sounded.
Centrals have won the 2000 Grand Final. First time this century, and the Bulldogs have got home a wonderful victory. The crowd are up, Mark Naley, and it's a big one.
Oh, just sit back and watch this. Take it all in. It hasn't happened before. He's in tears, Danny Holm. The tears are on his face. He's off. He's on a plane. He's off to England once this game is finished. No doubt he'll be celebrating for a couple of days. Look at the players. I'm sitting up here looking down at those players. The emotion they must be feeling. They'll never forget season 2000. Every player that pulled a jumper on for the Bulldogs has played a very important part in this game, in this season.
Holm recruited from Clarence in '97. In just 77 games, he's made such a huge impact. Has won the club best and fairest. Has led them to a grand final victory, the first in history. 12 kicks, 1 handball is certainly leading from the front, and the emotion and satisfaction.
How sweet it is, mate. Yeah, it's fantastic. Just so proud for those boys. That was sensational,
Mate, there's a lot of emotion waiting to come out over a few years.
Oh yeah, look, it's just for everybody that's been involved in this footy club over its 36-year period. These boys put in today, they were unbelievable.
Well, you've got to feel, David, also, the effort by the Eagles boys this afternoon was outstanding. Just ran out of numbers. They were hit hard from the opening siren.
You've got to enjoy this. Peter Jonas, who won the club best and fairest as a 19-year-old back in 1974. An all-Australian player. In 81 he went to North Melbourne, 2 broken legs, a broken hand, and only 82 games there. He comes back, plays for the Bulldogs, then as a runner for Malcolm Blight in their premiership times with the Crows. Came back as coach of the Bulldogs and really struggled, and he's turned it around. Recruiting coup and an attacking coaching style this year has brought home the biggest prize of all.
Well, your boys there, David,
they weren't disgraced.
They weren't disgraced. They tried so desperately hard to get back in that last quarter. I think they kicked the opening 2 goals in that final term. Look at Coach Peter Jonas. Chris Grant is kissing every player out there. So he should. So he should.
And look at the fans. You wonder what football's about. Well, there it is. Central District are the premiers in 2000. 22 points, the margin over minor premiers, the Eagles. They've beaten them in the second semi-final, and they've come out and done it again today in the grand final.
Nathan Steinburner, the Gowans boys. We look at him, we're in amongst it right now. The fighting a Raider, he fought so hard.
200 games, Mark.
Oh, tremendous effort. Hicks, tremendous game of football. Geist's effort today on the dangerous Christopher Kluzak.
Damien Hicks was there, but his brother Joe wasn't. And you got a feel for Joe. He's been a regular all year and misses this monstrous occasion.
Arnold, a great battle with Rhett Biglands this afternoon. They're in the middle of the ground, the boys. They're going to sing the club song with emotion, with feeling. They're in there. They've linked their arms. Everyone's involved. This is the start of something big, I believe, for the Central District Football Club. Scotty Lee, he's in there. That's great to see. Here it goes. Well, never seen before at Football Park. A side has got together in the middle of the ground and sung the club song, and sung it with such gutso and such feeling.
They are history makers.
Kenny Russell, son of Norm Russell, I spoke about before, former president and chairman of the club. Well, there could be free dental consultations this week from North Terrace. The Bulldogs are up.
Well, they lost in 95 to Port by 48 points. They lost to Port in 96 by 36 points. But this one exercises all the demons. And Central District and favourite son Peter Jonas take it off, and the sheer dejection of Paul Hamilton, first-year coach for the Eagles. As we go down now to Michael Parsons.
Yes, thanks. And with me, I no doubt, a very, very happy General Manager, Chris Grant. What's the emotion, Chris?
Oh, Mick, it's hard to explain. You just don't know how much work's gone into this. This is for the air, for the Northern Air. We're just so...
And it must mean a lot, not only to the players, but everybody involved in the community out there.
Yeah, look, credit to Peter Jonas, credit to the players, and it's been a hard slog and well-deserved.
And Danny Holm, last game as captain, it's a lovely way for him to go out.
Oh, he's been an inspiration, and he at the start of the year helped us plan this, so a lot of credit's got to go to Danny.
And probably another person we should think of is Scotty Lee, just couldn't quite get over that injury.
Oh, unfortunately, but in every grand final there's a hard luck story. Unfortunately, it was Scotty, and I know the boys feel for him.
And you've always been a footy fan. Who did you see as your best players today?
Oh, hell, it was hard. There was Quinn O'Graham, and there was Brent Weir in defence. But all in all, it was just a team effort.
Chris, I know that you've got a lot of celebrating to do. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us, and enjoy.
Good. Thanks very much, Michael.
As we go down to Stephen Trigg for the presentation of the Jack Oatey Medal.
Ladies and gentlemen, some history. And with that history, the monkey is finally off the back. 1964, it's been a very, very long time. They had a crack at it in 95, they had a crack at it in 96. But today, for the first time ever, put your hands together for the Central District Football Club premiers for the season 2000. The Jack Oatey Medal has been presented every year since 1981 for the best player on the ground in the grand final. There have been some wonderful players who have won it across the journey, and today you'd think it would come from the winning team, wouldn't you? The Jack Oatey medalist, to be presented by the widow of Jack, Mary Oatey, as always. The Jack Oatey medalist for 2000 is number 28, James Gowans. Very briefly, they won 17 games and lost 3 in the minor round. They're a little off balance today in terms of the injuries, but they fought every step of the way and earned everybody's respect. Would you please acknowledge the Eagles, Woodville-West Torrens, ably led by Paul Hamilton in his first year. gentleman who knows what it's like to lose them. He knows what it's like to win them. He's been involved as a player and coach since 1952, I think. He has been a coach and a player at West Adelaide, West Torrens, Glenelg, South Adelaide, Central District as well. His name is Neil Curley to present the medals. Let's go through them, shall we? And those on the northern end, I expect some cheering here as we go through them. Number 5 for Central, Damien Arnold. At the opposite end of the height scale, number 7, Marco Bello. Number 8 has had a wonderful finals campaign, Daniel Stevens. Number 10 is Michael Stevens. He's not joining us on the dais, but a quick pause in terms of the numbers that we're presenting. Number 12 is not coming up, but I'm sure everybody from Central District would acknowledge the contribution of Scott Lee across so many good years. Number 13 is Scott McArdle. Sam McArdle, sorry Sam. Number 14, Damien Hicks. Two goals in the second term, 1 goal in the third term, 5 goals in the second semi-final. Not a bad bit of influence. Stuart Dew. Number 18, Bynum Ford. Not a bad way to celebrate your 200th game. Number 19, Brian Herrera. Number 21, also with a wonderful final series, Chris Gowans. Number 23, looks like he's got a toothache. The veteran, Rick McGowan. Number 24, and all 200 centimetres of him, Radley Muller. We've already welcomed him once. Wonderful game here at Football Park in the grand final. A goal in the third term. Number 28, James Gowans. Back into the side today and just in the nick of time, number 31, Paul Geister. A remarkable recovery also by number 34, Nathan Steinburner. Outstanding game in defence today from number 38, Quentin Graham. Another of the power contingent, number 44, Brent Guerra.
Number 45, Heath Hopwood. You'd have thought a genuine contender also for the Jack Oatey medal. 3 goals today, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the last quarter. Wonderful game from number 51, Daniel Healy. And number 59, the diminutive but very courageous Matthew Slade. I think one gentleman who's going to have a very fine night, the coach, Peter Jonas. And Central District fans, your captain for the last time, and what a way to go. Danny Holm. There's a very important task here now. President of the SANFL, Mr. Max Bashir, with the Thomas Seymour Hill Cup. I suspect there's a fair party at Goodman Road tonight. Before we do that, though, I'm sure you'd like to hear from the captain. Danny.
Thank you, Stephen. First of all, to the Eagles. They're the best side all year. They gave us a real fright at the end there. Some great courage and character. We thank the boys for the game. I'm so proud of my boys. We represent the spirit. We represent the character of the northern suburbs. This is for our community. We'll see you all out there tonight to enjoy it. I'd like to say to my boys, I love these boys. They give me all the love back. We put the runs on the board, and we are going to enjoy this. The last thing I'd like to say, thank you to all the officials, to all the board members, to Scott Lee, to Michael Wakeland, to Tim Cook, to Justin Casserly. We are a club and we will go on. Thank you.
So there it is as John Platten looks on. The final scoreboard here at Football Park. Central District 18-13-61, defeating the Eagles 5-9-39. The final margin 22 points. Goal kickers, Mark, you've got them there for us.
Yes, David, we just see this afternoon, we see Daniel Healy was the main contributor for the Bulldogs with 3 goals. We see Stewie Dew also with 3 goals, and for the Eagles we see 2 from Biglands this afternoon.
All the players down on the field taking shots, and what a big moment it's been for the Central District side.
Yes, what an afternoon it has been.
What a big clash it's been. On behalf of Mark Nayley, Stephen Trigg, Mike Parsons, Tim Ginniver, Andrew Pays, hope you've enjoyed it. We've had a wonderful season. Thanks to all our camera crew, our support staff back at the studio, and to you, our fans. I'm glad you've enjoyed the coverage. We've enjoyed bringing it to you. Hope to see you next year when we bring you SANFL football. Big game today. The Bulldogs creating history, up by 22 points. Bye for now.